Chapter 661. East Continent. Qianyuan Sacred Ground. A powerful aura rose up, and a lightning tribulation descended from the sky. Not long after, the thunder retreated. A person came out of seclusion and laughed heartily at the sky. Divine Marshal. I'm finally a Divine Marshal. Zhang Ergu was in a good mood. Ever since the human race left the East Continent, he had been cultivating in seclusion. In that battle, Zhang Ergu truly understood what it meant to be an ant below the celestial realm. His strength in the spirit martial realm seemed to be very strong, but in front of a real expert, he was vulnerable. So, he had been cultivating in silence. Later, as the spirit energy in the Qianyuan realm gradually increased, it became easier to break through. In just 2 or 3 years, Zhang Ergu broke through from the spirit martial realm to the divine martial realm. Following his breakthrough, Niu Feng also flew over from other places. He looked at Zhang Ergu in front of him and said with a smile, "Elder Zhang has broken through to the divine martial realm. Congratulations." "It's okay, huh?" Zhang Ergu wanted to be humble, but he couldn't hide the smile on his face. As for Niu Feng, he was still very familiar with him. In the Qianyuan Sacred Ground, the people who could be regarded as loyal were still the original group of people from Liangshan village. Zhang Ergu and Niu Feng were both bandits of that period. So, the two of them had a good relationship. With the arrival of Niu Feng, the other elders also came to congratulate him. There was one more divine martial realm in the main sect. In any case, it was something worth celebrating. At the same time, a vision suddenly appeared in the sky, and a powerful force spread out, causing everyone's expression to change. A vision of heaven and earth. Someone is about to break through to the celestial realm. The vision came from the main sect. Could it be Elder Gong? Xiang Haogan's expression also changed slightly. In the entire main sect, the only cultivator who could reach the peak of the divine martial realm was Gong Mingze. Now, a vision had appeared. The person who broke through didn't need to guess too much. Gong Mingze. Thinking of this, Xiang Haogan was also a little jealous. Breaking through to the celestial being realm was what he had always desired and pursued. Now that he saw someone who had reached this realm before him, it would be a lie to say that he was not envious. Fortunately, Xiang Haogan had also reached the 9th level of the divine martial realm. Soon, he would be able to break through to the peak of the divine martial realm. At that time, he would also be able to break through to the celestial realm. In this era, it was much better than before. The difficulty of breaking through to the diviner realm, it was also greatly reduced. Aside, the smile on Zhang Ergu's face stiffened. He realized his joy of breaking through to the god martial realm had vanished when Gong Mingze tried to break through to the diviner realm. Regarding this, Zhang Ergu also felt stifled. At the same time, the phenomenon in the Qianyuan realm also alarmed the other cultivators. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the sky, and finally on the Master Sect's position. There's going to be another heavenly being in Sky Origin Sect. A cultivator sighed. Now, all the sects in the world belong to the Holy Land. Many strong people had formed the Qianyuan Sacred Ground, but there was a difference between the sections. It still existed. Because of Qin Shujian, Sky Origin Sect was the most powerful force in the Qianyuan Sacred Ground. Now that someone had broken through to the diviner realm, its momentum was undoubtedly stronger. However, although these cultivators were a little jealous, they did not have much of a reaction. As long as Emperor Qin was in the Qianyuan Sacred Ground, one more heavenly being or one less heavenly being would not change anything. Even if the entire Sky Origin Sect died, Emperor Qin, he was still unshakable. More and more people are breaking through. Not bad, not bad. In the courtyard, Qin Shujian smiled. Zhang Ergu's breakthrough, and Gong Mingze's breakthrough to the diviner realm. He had seen it all. Regarding this, Qin Shujian was also relieved. More and more strong people were born in a short period of time. This proved that, based on the current trend of the world, the human race still occupied a large part of it. The biggest disadvantage of the human race, it was that there were not enough middle-level cultivators. With him and Emperor Zhao at the top, they could already look down on the world. However, the middle-level heavenly being cultivators were still too weak. He withdrew his gaze from the vision of heaven and earth. Qin Shujian casually cut off a mountain rock. Then, with a thought, the irregular mountain rock turned into a stone tablet. He looked at the stone tablet in front of him. Using his hand as a pen, he slowly wrote something on it. Boom! The spirit chi of heaven and earth swarmed over, constantly converging into the stone tablet. Not long after, the stone tablet, which was originally made of ordinary material, had been rendered with a powerful aura. Marquis Baiyun, who was sitting opposite Qin Shujian, was a little surprised when he saw this scene. However, he did not disturb him. Instead, he watched silently. Soon, the spirit chi of heaven and earth suddenly disappeared. The originally ordinary stone tablet had now transformed into a powerful spirit chi. Human Emperor's alchemy technique? Seeing the words on the stone tablet, Marquis Baiyun's eyes flickered. He just glanced at it. A lot of information about alchemy technique appeared in his mind, but soon, this information was blocked by a powerful force. In the end, only the beginner level of alchemy technique remained in his sea of consciousness. Marquis Baiyun did not know alchemy technique. However, he was once a heavenly being cultivator. Naturally, he could see the mystery contained in alchemy technique. After a while, Marquis Baiyun came back to his senses from the memory in his mind and said in surprise, "Is Emperor Qin going to pass on his alchemy technique to the human clan?" "That's my intention." Qin Shujian nodded. Now that the human clan's alchemy technique has declined, ordinary alchemy grandmasters are also extremely rare. If a clan wants to develop and grow, how can it be possible to rely on cultivation alone? In ancient times, the human clan was in full bloom. There were many methods and means to compete for supremacy. Ben Huang does not have the ability to restore the scene of ancient times, but he can pass on what he has now to the human clan. Hearing this, Marquis Baiyun looked emotional. Emperor Qin is righteous. Qin Shujian smiled slightly. He did not answer anymore. Instead, his gaze fell on the stone tablet in front of him. The alchemy technique of the human emperor. In these simple words, it contained all his alchemy technique, including the third stage of alchemy grandmaster that he had recently obtained. It could refine the supreme method that was closest to the divine elixir. However, Qin Shujian wouldn't really impart all of his techniques to the entire human race. He left his own sealing method on it. Only when one's alchemy technique reached a certain level could he be qualified to get the cultivation method of the next stage. After putting aside the stone tablet of the human emperor's alchemy technique, Qin Shujian took a mountain rock and carved 2 more stone tablets. One was human emperor casting technique. The other was human emperor formation. This was his casting technique and formation technique. But because of the problem of face, Qin Shujian did not directly use the name of the human emperor. Instead, he euphemistically used the name of the human emperor. 3 stone tablets were set up. They represented 3 shocking inheritances. Marquis Baiyun could not keep calm at this time. Qin Shujian only had 1 alchemy technique. He could refine unheard-of 10th-level elixirs. As for his casting technique, he had once cast a top-notch 8-seal Taoist artifact. In comparison, the most famous formation technique of the other party was not as dazzling as before under the cover of the 2. But no matter what, in Marquis Baiyun's opinion, Qin Shujian's formation technique had reached the level of a grandmaster, and it was at least at the 2nd stage. He was sure, once the 3 stone tablets were spread out, it would definitely make the 3 sects of the human clan that had been silent for a long time shine again. If I didn't know that the Qin Emperor couldn't be the reincarnation of a genuine immortal, I would have thought that the Qin Emperor was the incarnation of an ancient almighty. Marquis Baiyun shook his head and sighed. It was not that he had never seen an almighty person, but to be able to reach the peak of each sect like Qin Shujian, it was really not something that everyone could do. In his sea of consciousness, Godslayer secretly cursed. Soon, the 3 stone tablets turned into flowing lights and landed in front of the palace of the human emperor. The cultivators who were comprehending the universe Tao-seeking scripture and the human emperor's immortal killing skill were all shocked by such a commotion. Then, they came back to their senses and fixed their gazes on the 3 new stone tablets. Human emperor's alchemy technique, human emperor's forging technique, Human Emperor's formation. Looking at the name on the stone tablet, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. But soon, someone managed to obtain the information they wanted from the steel. After a long time, a female cultivator came back to her senses, and then a look of wild joy appeared on her face. It turns out that there is a path after becoming a Grandmaster forging. I understand. Haha, I finally understand. There was a sudden movement. It naturally attracted the attention of others. Soon, someone recognized the identity of the female cultivator. It was Ling Huayu, the Grandmaster Forging Master of the Nine Palaces sect. Not counting Qin Shujian, he was also a top Grandmaster Forging Master of the human clan. But now, this top Grandmaster Forging Master was no longer as indifferent as before. Her pretty face was full of uncontrollable joy. Seeing this, a cultivator couldn't help but ask, "May I ask, Elderling, is what is recorded on the stone tablets really a profound technique?" He looked at the memory in his mind. It was only at the beginning stage. Ling Huayu didn't answer. Instead, his gaze fell on the other two stone tablets. Finally, he came back to his senses and answered the cultivator's question. The methods left on the stone tablets are all direct to the Grandmaster realm, and they are not simple Grandmasters. But if you want to get the complete inheritance, your own realm must correspond. For example, if you are a high-grade alchemist, you can get the inheritance of a Grandmaster, and then a Grandmaster can get the inheritance of a Grandmaster. If you don't know anything, then what you can get from the stone tablets will only be the most basic entry-level methods. With just a simple glance at the other stone tablets, Ling Huayu deduced the real function of the stone tablets. Hearing this, Shen Yuqing nodded slightly and said, "Elderling is right. You know Emperor Qin's methods. He is known as the #1 Grandmaster in the 4 great continents. However, I only got the cultivation method of a Grandmaster here. Elderling is a Grandmaster Forging Master, so he should have gotten the cultivation method of a higher level." Hearing this, some people had a look of realization on their faces and quickly shifted their gazes away from the stone tablet. But for another group of people, they looked at the 3 stone tablets as if they were looking at some kind of sacred object. These people, they were all cultivators who dabbled in the 3 paths, and there was no lack of experienced enthusiasts. I thought I would only be a high-grade array master for the rest of my life. I never thought that I would be able to get such an inheritance. Emperor Qin's actions are really beneficial to the human race. Haha, there is a path to go. This is a blessing for us cultivators. Many cultivators couldn't help but sigh. More people looked excited. They couldn't stay calm. Only those who really loved the 3 paths could understand what the inheritance of the 3 stone tablets meant. Grandmaster Alchemist. Shen Yuhua's gaze was fixed on the stone tablet. The words, "Human Emperor's Alchemy Technique," fascinated her. So, the Grandmaster Alchemist realm was like this. Until this moment, only then did Shen Yuhua truly understand. When it came to alchemy, she was indeed a talented genius. She became a high-grade alchemist in her 20s. After joining the Yuan sect, she broke through to the Grandmaster Alchemist realm. But for Shen Yuhua, to a certain extent, the Grandmaster Alchemist realm was already the peak. As for breaking through to the Grandmaster Alchemist realm, she had never dreamed of it. But at this moment, after getting the inheritance of the Human Emperor's alchemy technique from the stone tablet, Shen Yuhua was deeply immersed in it. At the same time, finally, a thought rose in her heart. A thought that could make her break through to the Grandmaster Alchemist realm. Emperor Qin, Shen Yuhua muttered in her heart. She couldn't help but think of the figure in a green robe. There was no reason for it. The luster in her beautiful eyes had also dimmed a little. In the world, there were not many people who could not be convinced by talent. Moreover, Qin Shujian's talent could no longer be measured by the word talent. Once upon a time, Shen Yuhua's heart also palpitated. However, as Qin Shujian walked higher and higher, she could only raise her head and look up at him. As time passed, she gradually suppressed this throbbing feeling. If the difference between the two was too great, there would be no good result after all. Thinking of this, Shen Yuhua suddenly laughed at herself. What is the status of the Qin Emperor? What is your status? Why are you still having such unrealistic fantasies? Senior sister, what happened? Shen Yuqing saw her strange expression and couldn't help but ask. Hearing this, Shen Yuhua shook her head and said softly, "Nothing. It's just that after knowing the human emperor's alchemy technique, I realized how ignorant I was in the past, so I felt a little emotional." Alas, yes. Shen Yuqing nodded in agreement. Regardless of the human emperor's alchemy technique, he didn't know that the Grandmaster Alchemist realm was so mysterious. Just when the 3 stone tablets were set up, Qin Shujian took out the heaven list, and the destiny of the human clans surged. From today onwards, all the Qianyuan colleges will establish the 3 departments of alchemy, forging, and array. All the cultivators of the human clan can cultivate these 3 daos. As soon as he finished speaking, countless illusory images of stone tablets emerged from the long river of destiny, and then accurately landed in every Qianyuan college. The illusory images of the stone tablets fell. In an instant, they became real. At this moment, the human clan of the eastern continent was shocked. In a college, the 3 stone tablets fell, causing all the students in the college to rush over. The human emperor's alchemy technique. The human emperor's forging technique. The human emperor's array. The 3 stone tablets represented the alchemy technique, forging technique, and array. In the crowd, Chao Hong looked at the 3 stone tablets with a strange expression, and then recalled the memory that had just appeared in his mind, and he was quite hesitant. Won't this be the same as the universe Tao-seeking scripture, where I'll explode and die if I cultivate it? He wasn't sure. He had lost too much in the last battle, and there was no way to recover until now. If he were to explode one more time, Chao Hong felt like crying. Immediately, he turned his head to look at Lu Qinghong. It was a coincidence. Lu Qinghong also looked at him. In the end, neither of them tried it. If the Qin Emperor set them up on purpose, they would have no one to cry to. As the 3 stone tablets fell, the aura of the main tablet in the Qianyuan sacred ground had also become stronger. However, compared with the universe Tao-seeking scripture and the human emperor's immortal slaying technique, these 3 stone tablets were still far inferior. After all, the former was the inheritance of the human clan. The latter, it could only be said that it benefited some cultivators. But no matter what, the erection of the 3 stone tablets also meant that the inheritance of the human clan was more complete. At the same time, the destiny of the human clan had also become more powerful. In the following time, Qin Shujian sat in the courtyard, discussing the Tao with Marquis Baiyun. Although the other party had fallen to the god martial arts realm, however, the knowledge, memory, and insights of the past were not missing at all. After the discussion, Qin Shujian would go to the Law of Strength to explore when he was free. However, walking 4 laws at the same time caused the difficulty of the Law of Strength to increase by many times. With every step he took, there was a huge wave surging. However, Qin Shujian, on the other hand, used his absolute strength to suppress those waves step by step. But even so, in the short term, he did not gain much in the Law of Strength. In this regard, Qin Shujian was not too anxious. If he could walk the Law of Strength, he would walk it. If he could not, he would use the Source of Life to improve it. Now, he was not far from the 8th tier of the celestial being. In a few months, he would have enough Source of Life. As for the 9th and 10th tiers of the celestial being realm, Qin Shujian estimated it would probably take a few years. As for becoming an immortal, he was not sure how much Source of Life he would need. However, Qin Shujian did not think about becoming an immortal for the time being because it was too far away. After reaching the 10th tier of the celestial being realm, it was more likely to think about becoming an immortal. 2 months passed. A piece of news came, which made Qin Shujian decide to leave the East Continent. Has the news been sent back? It has been sent back. It will not be long before the Qin Emperor arrives. Good. The Black Emperor nodded. As he spoke, he was already fighting with another dragon, a martial sage. This was the expert that Qin Shujian had specially ordered to search for. However, after being possessed by the extraterritorial demon, the martial sage was completely missing. Although they would occasionally attack other powerhouses, they would immediately turn and flee after a successful attack, not giving others a chance to search for them at all. in order to get the exact information of the other party. The human race had also spent a lot of effort. Not only that, even the other vassal clans had spent a lot of effort. Until now, when the news of the martial sage attacking a small clan spread, the Black Emperor and Dan Hao immediately rushed over. At this moment, the one who really intercepted the martial sage was the Black Emperor. As for Dan Hao, he stood at the side and watched the battle. There was no choice. The Black Emperor was an expert of the Nirvana realm, and the martial sage in front of him seemed to have become stronger. He was not much weaker than the Black Emperor. Although he had broken through to the Almighty Realm, he was only a cultivator of the 7th level of the Sky Human Realm. If he wanted to interfere in a battle of this level, he was still far from it. Boom! The Black Emperor revealed his true form. A huge eagle that looked like it was made of black stone spread its wings and pounced towards the dragon in front of him. A pair of sharp claws shone with a terrifying light. Even though the dragon's body had strong scales, it had no way of resisting. Only the scales could be seen breaking. Blood splattered everywhere. The dragon roared and suddenly swung its tail, hitting the Black Emperor's body heavily. Instantly, a terrifying force exploded. The Black Emperor was caught off guard and was also sent flying back by this force. Quite a few of his feathers also fell off. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the martial sage did not attack the Black Emperor with all his strength. Instead, he turned around and broke through the void to escape. Chase. The Black Emperor was furious. In the next moment, his huge body broke through the void and directly chased after the martial sage. Seeing this, Dan Hao did not dare to hesitate. He also chased after the two of them. About half a day after the three of them left, Qin Shujian had already walked out of the void and arrived here. The aura is still here, but the person is gone. He should have escaped. He spread out his spiritual will. He quickly found the traces left behind by Dan Hao. In the next second, he took a step forward and broke through the void. On the other side, the martial sage was frantically escaping. The Black Emperor was frantically chasing after him. As for Dan Hao, he fell behind and desperately chased after him. But the problem was, the speed of the martial sage and the Black Emperor were extremely fast. It was not easy for Dan Hao to catch up with them. Fortunately, the Black Emperor would leave his coordinates in the void so that Dan Hao would not lose him. In a void, the two of them were still fighting endlessly. At this moment, the martial sage was also furious. I have never had any enmity with you. Why do you have to chase after me? If this goes on, it will not be good for either of us. How dare you attack the human territory? You deserve to die. The Black Emperor casually replied. Anyway, there was no problem in finding a reason to attack. Hearing this, the martial sage was also anxious. He did not expect that in the past, when he attacked the human territory on a whim, it would cause such a big trouble. At that time, he did not have any advantage at all. Thinking of this, the martial sage was also getting angrier. The extraterritorial demons were originally evil creatures. Although they had intelligence and knew how to seek good fortune and avoid disaster, when they were angered, they would still be angry. At this moment, the Black Emperor was still chasing after him. This made the martial sage extremely angry. All right, after I swallow you, I will officially step into the Nirvana realm. Who in the world can stop me? The dragon's body's aura surged as it crazily pounced towards the Black Emperor. The Black Emperor was also not afraid. At this moment, a strong aura crushed down from the sky, instantly causing the two of them to tremble. At the same time, a voice sounded in their ears. Ben Huang really wants to see if he really can't stop you. Chapter 662. The Black Emperor and the martial sage's expressions changed. But the difference was, the Black Emperor was surprised. The martial sage was shocked. Qin Emperor. The Black Emperor also stopped midway when he saw the green-clothed figure walking over in the air, after which he respectfully bowed. As for the martial sage, the moment the Black Emperor stopped, he turned around and fled without even thinking. There was no choice. Compared to the Black Emperor, the person in front of him gave him the feeling that he was facing a living devil. Devil? That was a true immortal. He was just a small devil master, How could he be a match for the devil? So, the martial sage escaped without hesitation. But, just as he broke through the void and escaped, he saw that the shattered space around him had solidified. A heaven's list exuded a terrifying aura and pressed down on his head. The martial sage struggled with all his might, but he was unable to break through the void at all. Qin Shujian stepped in front of the martial sage and said with a smile, "Is this the extraterritorial demon?" Bin Huang is seeing an extraterritorial demon who has taken over a living being for the first time. A faint smile. In the martial sage's eyes, there was great fear in his heart. At the side, the Black Emperor looked at the martial sage who was suppressed by the heavens list and could not move. Only his body was trembling slightly. His eyes were full of admiration. He was well aware of the flood dragon's strength. When they really fought, he did not have 100% confidence that he could take it down. It could be said that the martial sage was not weaker than an emperor. But that was it. In front of Qin Shujian, the other party did not have any power to resist and was easily suppressed. Such strength. The Black Emperor was also filled with emotions. Qin Shujian put his hands behind his back and looked calmly at the dragon in front of him. He said calmly, "Bin Huang can give you a chance to live. Do you want it or not? Please speak clearly." The martial sage's body trembled, and then he stuttered. Who did not want a chance to live? The extraterritorial demons also cherished their lives. It was just that the temptation of the heavens and earth was too great for them to come in at all costs. Now that he had come in with great difficulty, if he were to die in the hands of other powerhouses, that would be unacceptable. Qin Shujian said, "Bin Huang wants to know the specific strength of the extraterritorial demons and whether you extraterritorial demons are a complete race or divided. Tell me everything you know. Don't try to lie. You should know the price of lying in front of Bin Huang." In a calm voice, boundless killing intent could be vaguely seen. Hearing this, the martial sage hurriedly nodded his head and said, "The spatial demons are a complete race. However, they are also divided into different clans with the demon lords as the leaders. Below the Devil Emperor, there are many Devil Emperors. Below the Devil Emperors are the Devil Kings. Below the Devil Kings are the Devil Masters. Below the Devil Masters are the most ordinary void evil devils. Regarding these matters, there was nothing to hide. After all, the racial division of the extraterritorial devils wasn't a secret. Moreover, even if the person in front of them knew, it wouldn't affect their tribe in any way. On the contrary, if the person in front of him knew how powerful the extraterritorial devil was, he might even be fearful. Because according to the martial sage's understanding, this part of the world was already weak to a certain extent. When he first came in, there wasn't even a true immortal expert. Until now, there was a birth. However, they were the weakest true immortals. With such strength, it really wasn't that strong. Devil Emperors, Devil Emperors, Devil Kings, Devil Masters. Qin Shujian silently listened to the martial sage's words. He also had a certain understanding of the classification of the extraterritorial devil. According to the other party, there were a few devil emperors who ruled over the extraterritorial devil groups. No, the extraterritorial devil was a term that he heard from Godslayer. Based on the words of the devil in front of him, the other party's tribe should be called the Void Evil Devils. After a while, Qin Shujian said, Devil Emperors, Devil Kings, and Devil Masters, what are their strengths? If the Devil Emperors were to be classified in the boundless world, they would be equivalent to the upper three true immortals. Devil Emperors would be equivalent to the middle three true immortals. Devil Kings would be equivalent to the lower three true immortals. As for Devil Masters, those above the true immortals would be classified as devils. Ordinary void evil devils would be celestial beings. Qin Shujian's heart shook violently. As expected, the strength of the void evil devils was just as he knew, terrifyingly strong. Are there any devil emperors now? Of course, the devil emperors are the strongest people closest to eternal life. They can enjoy a lifespan of millions of years. How could they die so easily? The martial sage said with a trace of pride on his face. Devil emperors. That was an existence that all void evil devils had to respect. So, your strength is already considered to be a devil master? Yes, I am the Devil Master of the Emo Shalua clan. The martial sage nodded and said, Emo Shalua clan? Any clan is named after the Devil Emperors. Emo Shalua is the title of the current Devil Emperor. Emo Shalua. Qin Shujian remembered this name. As the Devil Emperors of the Void Evil Devils, they were also existing in the upper three true immortals. They might even be opponents in the future. Subsequently, he opened his mouth again and said, How many Devil Emperors are there now? 4. The martial sage replied without hesitation. 4 Devil Emperors. This also meant that there were 4 true immortals in the upper 3 true immortals, and they were not weaker than the ancient emperors. Qin Shujian's heart trembled again. However, he did not reveal any clues on the surface, but continued to ask, What are the other 3 Devil Emperors called? Baido, Boyle, Yizo, Qin Shujian nodded slightly. Then, he looked at the martial sage in front of him and revealed a faint smile on his face. Bin Huang, from what you said, it seems that you have a great understanding of this world. The vast thousand world that the martial sage mentioned. If Qin Shujian guessed correctly, he was referring to this place. Hearing this, the martial sage nodded and said, Of course, the vast thousand world has existed for countless years. We Void Evil Devils have also had many dealings with the vast thousand world and have a good understanding of this world. In the past, the vast thousand world was very strong and had many Devil Emperors, but now it is much weaker. Qin Shujian did not comment. Was it weak? According to the current situation, the vast thousand world was indeed quite weak. However, he did not care about these things. On the other side, the martial sage looked at Qin Shujian, who was deep in thought, and asked carefully, I have already answered your questions. I wonder if you can fulfill your promise and let me go? Qin Shujian did not reply, but looked at the Black Emperor, who was already in shock. Black Emperor, you must be tired from chasing after the Void Evil Devils this time. Why don't you go back and rest first? Oh, Bin Huang, goodbye. The Black Emperor quickly regained his senses. When he saw Qin Shujian's expression, he already understood. It was obvious. This Qin Emperor still had something to ask, but did not want him to hear it. Therefore, he wanted to send him away. The Black Emperor also wanted to hear what Qin Shujian was going to ask next. However, the news that he heard just now had already shocked him. The Black Emperor felt that he needed to go back and digest it. After all, although the Black Rock Condor tribe had some records about the Void Evil Devils, they did not accumulate much information. They also did not know that the Void Evil Devils now had such powerful strength. 4 demon emperors of the upper level 3 true immortal realm. If they were to go against the heavens and earth, it would be another great disaster. After the Black Emperor left, Qin Shujian then looked at the martial sage again and said, Bin Huang wants to know, what is the relationship between the Void Evil Devils and the demons of the Demon Abyss? Although we are all demons, we are actually 2 completely different tribes. At the mention of the Demon Abyss, the martial sage's expression became more serious. However, I am not very clear about the details. Perhaps only the Demon Emperors are qualified to know the secrets of the Demon Abyss. Then do you know the strength of the Demon Abyss? The Demon Abyss is very powerful. There are some powerful ancient demon gods who are not much weaker than the Demon Emperors. The martial sage said in a deep voice. Ancient demon gods. Qin Shujian heard another name that he had never heard of before. Then, he looked at the martial sage in front of him and asked his last question. Bin Huang sensed a Void Evil Devil wandering outside the heavens and earth. It seems to be quite powerful. Do you know where it came from? You must be talking about Demon King Yuluin of the Emo Xylo clan. Demon King Yuluin? That's right. Demon King Yuluin is the top Demon King of the Emo Xylo clan. It is said that he is only one step away from breaking through to the Demon Emperor realm. A few days ago, there was a leak of energy in the vast thousand world, which attracted the Demon King's attention. The martial sage answered Qin Shujian's question at an extremely fast speed. After he finished speaking, he looked at Qin Shujian with hopeful eyes, hoping that he would fulfill his promise. To this, Qin Shujian smiled and said, Your answer is not bad, but Bin Huang suspects that you are lying about the Demon Abyss. After he finished speaking, the heavenly list suppressed him. You lied to me. In the martial sage's shrill roar, the body of the flood dragon was directly smashed into pieces by the heavenly list. As the body of the flood dragon shattered, a black shadow escaped from the broken body. Qin Shujian punched out, and the power of the laws surged. The black shadow suddenly let out a shrill cry like a baby and was forcefully destroyed by this power. A crystal fell from it. The power of the heavenly list swept across. The broken body of the flood dragon and the crystal were all kept. Soon, all the fluctuations in the surroundings disappeared. From the beginning until now, Qin Shujian had never thought of letting the martial sage live. The void evil devil. It was an existence that was completely opposite to the vast thousand world. What he said before was just to give the martial sage a glimmer of hope, so that he could obtain some information about the void evil devil. Senior, did you say that the void evil devil that was killed by the Emperor of Heaven was a demon emperor? At this moment, Qin Shujian's expression was no longer as relaxed as before. Godslayer's tone was also slightly solemn. He said, according to what he said, it should be a demon emperor. At this point, he sighed. For demon emperors, the strength of the demonic void demons is much stronger than I imagined. Moreover, if the demon emperors can devour the ancient emperors, then their strength is probably not something that ordinary people in the upper 3 grades can compare to. Their strength is at least at the peak of the 7th grade, or even the 8th grade true immortal. If that's all, then it's fine. If the void evil devil has a 9th grade true immortal, then it's a big problem. The current era was not like the ancient era. In the current era, true immortals in the lower 3 grades were the top powerhouses. As for true immortals in the middle 3 grades, there was not a single one, not to mention the upper 3 heavenly layers. However, as long as there is no problem with the heavenly barrier, the void evil devil will not be able to enter, even if it's a demon emperor. Godslayer added. Qin Shujian nodded. This was the only thing that was worth comforting. There were void evil devils lurking in the outer realm. The demon abyss was approaching heaven and earth again. All of a sudden, he felt that this world was really full of disasters. Senior, do you know anything about the ancient demon gods? I don't know much about the ancient demon gods. I only know that they are some ancient demon gods, and their strength is generally very strong. When the ancient demon abyss attacked, there were powerful ancient demon gods. It is said that the most powerful ancient demon god is even comparable to the Emperor of Heaven. Godslayer said. Qin Shujian took a deep breath. How many ancient demon gods are there in the demon abyss? I don't know. There are too many demons in the demon abyss, and no one knows how many powerhouses there are. Unless one day we can enter the demon abyss, it will be difficult to find out. Go deep into the demon abyss. Qin Shujian was only thinking about this matter temporarily. With his current strength, if he went into the demon abyss, he would definitely die. At this time, Qin Shujian stood in the void without doing anything, but he was recalling something in his mind. In the future, heaven and earth will have to face the demon abyss first, and the void evil devil second. However, if we can get rid of the demon abyss, then the void evil devils will not be a concern. In addition to these two, the Sea of Death is also a problem. According to Godslayer, there is a supreme existence in the deepest part of the Sea of Death. Even the Emperor of Heaven and the other emperors did not gain any benefits when they went there. Moreover, the Sea of Death is where the sun sets. There must be a great secret hidden in it. As for the moon, in the words of Xia Chao, it exists in a place called the Heavenly Abyss. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian slowly asked, Senior, do you know where the Heavenly Abyss is? The Heavenly Abyss? Godslayer was startled, then replied, The Heavenly Abyss exists at the edge of the western continent. It is a place similar to the Sea of Death. The laws inside are chaotic. Anyone who enters the Heavenly Abyss cannot use the power of the laws. Not only that, there are also many powerful beasts in the Heavenly Abyss. There are even beasts comparable to true immortals. However, because the laws there are chaotic, the beasts cannot leave the Heavenly Abyss and can only stay there forever. He did not know why Qin Shujian asked about the Heavenly Abyss. However, Godslayer still told him all the information about the Heavenly Abyss. Qin Shujian also had a certain understanding of the heavenly abyss. The Sea of Death is located in the eastern continent, while the heavenly abyss is located in the western continent. One east and one west are opposite, which makes sense. He thought in his heart. From Godslayer's words, it was not difficult to see that the heavenly abyss was an extremely terrifying place. In fact, it was not much worse than the Sea of Death. To be honest, Qin Shujian had the idea to explore the heavenly abyss. As the habitat of the moon, there might be some kind of treasure. However, he was just thinking about it. He was very clear about his own strength. Although it was considered the top in the 4 major continents, it was still far from being able to go deep into the Sea of Death or the heavenly abyss. Has the Emperor of Heaven entered the heavenly abyss before? It seems that he has, but I'm not very sure. Anyway, the Emperor of Heaven has issued an order that no one in the heavenly court is allowed to enter the heavenly abyss without permission. Because of such a ban, no true immortals dare to step in without permission, Godslayer said. Qin Shujian nodded his head. In this case, the Emperor of Heaven should have entered the heavenly abyss and then encountered some powerful existence inside. In the end, he had to withdraw from the heavenly abyss and then issued an edict that no true immortals were allowed to enter. Regarding this practice, Qin Shujian also understood. If one day he also grew to the top of the world, he would definitely go to this unknown place and explore all of it. After all, if he really reached that step, he would definitely not tolerate the existence of unknown places. He had some thoughts in mind. Qin Shujian glanced at the surrounding calm void, turned around, and flew away. Soon, he returned to the East Continent. After entering the Qian Yuan realm, Qin Shujian immediately took out the water dragon's blood essence and then gave the void demon's crystal to Marquis Baiyun so that he could absorb it and recover immediately. The water dragon's blood essence could temper the body. The void demon's crystal could strengthen the spiritual deity. Marquis Baiyun's current state was that his body was weak and his spiritual deity was seriously injured. Both of them happened to be what he needed. This was one of the reasons why Qin Shujian immediately took action after receiving the news of the martial sage. In the courtyard, he sat alone on a stone bench. Inside, Marquis Baiyun was using the water dragon's blood essence to temper his body. Waves of powerful spiritual qi followed, causing the Qian Yuan realm to tremble slightly. "Let me out for a while." Suddenly, Godslayer's voice sounded in his mind. Qin Shujian was puzzled, but he still took out the Godslayer. He saw the stone saber appear. In an instant, it transformed into the appearance of a young man. He looked at the closed door with his hands behind his back, and his expression was a little strange. "What's wrong?" Qin Shujian's expression changed slightly. The Godslayer in front of him looked like something was wrong. In response to his question, the Godslayer did not answer immediately. After a long time, he retracted his gaze, then looked at Qin Shujian and said solemnly, "If I'm not wrong, Marquis Baiyun should be the reincarnation of a true immortal." The reincarnation of a true immortal? Qin Shujian was stunned. He had never thought that Marquis Baiyun was the reincarnation of a powerhouse. Qin Shujian also had great doubts about this. "Senior, are you sure you're not mistaken? It shouldn't be wrong. In the past, his rule force was hidden too deeply, so I didn't have the chance to detect anything. But now that he used the Flood Dragon's blood essence to recover himself, his aura leaked out. This aura is very familiar. I definitely know it. Who is it?" In the end, the Godslayer fell into a state of talking to himself. There were many ancient true immortals. He had seen even more true immortals. As Zubing, the Godslayer had existed since ancient times. The lifespan of a true immortal was only 120,000 years. More than 10 million years had passed since ancient times. In the endless years, too many true immortals had been born. Therefore, the Godslayer had encountered many true immortals. In such a situation, it was not easy to tell which true immortal Marquis Baiyun was the reincarnation of. However, there was one thing he was sure of. The other party must be the reincarnation of a true immortal that he knew, because that aura was really familiar. It was just that it had been too long. It was just that the Godslayer could not tell who it was. On the other side, Qin Shujian was also lost in thought. To be honest, he had never thought that Marquis Bayun would be the reincarnation of a true immortal, but if he thought about it seriously, it was not impossible. After all, Marquis Bayun's growth was too fast. Compared to Emperor Zhao, Marquis Bayun was not even 1,000 years old. In less than 1,000 years. That's how he managed to reach this point. This kind of talent could already be said to be shocking. If it was the current world of great battles, it would be fine. The cultivation of all living beings would increase faster than before. But if it was the situation of the human race in the past, it would be impossible for such an expert to be born. However, Marquis Bayun appeared. Qin Shujian originally thought that the other party had his own opportunities, just like how he could borrow the source of life to improve. But now that he heard the Godslayer's words, he finally understood. The reincarnation of a true immortal. After muttering to himself, Yi Zichen muttered to himself. Qin Shujian raised his head to look at the Godslayer and asked, "Senior, do you know what level of true immortal reincarnation he is?" "At least a true immortal in the middle 3 levels, or possibly in the upper 3 levels. The God-slaying saber shook its head and gave an ambiguous answer. After saying that, he continued to explain, his rule power is very strong in nature, but it has become weak after so many years, so I'm not too sure. But when Marquis Bayun comes out, you can ask him directly." "Senior, are you saying that Marquis Bayun has just awakened the memories of his previous life?" Qin Shujian asked doubtfully. Since the Godslayer said that the other party was the reincarnation of a true immortal, he thought that Marquis Bayun had been hiding this matter. But now it seemed that it was clear that Marquis Bayun had just awakened his memories. The Godslayer said, "Of course, when an expert reincarnates and cultivates again, they either awaken their innate wisdom at the beginning. Otherwise, the subsequent awakening of their innate wisdom is full of uncertainty. They may awaken because of something, or they may suddenly awaken after sleeping. These are all uncertain. But there is one thing that is fixed. If a reincarnated person reaches the height of his previous life, he will definitely awaken the innate wisdom of his previous life." Qin Shujian heard this. He felt relieved. The demon abyss. Suddenly, a terrifying force burst out. The phantom of a halberd pierced the clouds, shaking the void violently. At this moment, the bodies of the demons in the upper levels of the demon abyss trembled, and their eyes were filled with horror. The demon gods in the lower levels of the demon abyss were furious. "Damn it, this Zhu Bing is acting strangely again. Could it be that immortal Lord Vastsong has really returned?" One demon god after another woke up from their slumber, and a terrifying aura spread in the depths of the demon abyss. Boom! A demon god attacked with a palm strike toward the halberd. The halberd vibrated. Traces of sharpness overflowed from it and easily tore the demon god's palm apart. Roar! The demon god who attacked had to withdraw his palm in pain. At the same time, a person walked out of the halberd, then held it with a backhand grip. He looked at the demon gods with a faint smile on his face. "Is this the demon abyss?" There was curiosity in his eyes, as well as a burning desire to fight. Seeing that person appear, all the demon gods were shocked. "Immortal Lord Vastsong, kill!" The demon gods were furious, then attacked Immortal Lord Vastsong. Terrifying power raged in the depths of the demon abyss. Immortal Lord Vastsong held the halberd and walked around as if he was taking a stroll in the park. That terrifying power did not make his expression change at all. The next moment, the halberd slashed out casually. All the power was torn apart. Several demon gods did not even have time to resist before they were annihilated and devoured by this power. Suddenly, the demon god's steel shook. Several names disappeared from the steel. This sudden turn of events left the other fiend celestials horrified. Demon gods would not die, but it also depended on the situation. If they were killed by Zhu Bing, even a demon god would die. The death of a few demon gods had shocked the other demon gods to the core. However, although the demon gods were frightened, it did not mean that immortal Lord Vastsong would stop. Zhu Bing stepped forward steadily, and the halberd tore the sky and the earth. One after another, demon gods died under Zhu Bing's hands. On this day, the demon god's steel shook. The demon gods that had not died in the past were dying one after another at this moment. Finally, a terrifying aura awakened from the depths of the demon abyss. That aura was very strong. It directly shook the entire demon abyss, and the blood moon in the sky seemed to have some ripples. Just as the demons in the upper levels of the demon abyss were panicking and at a loss. The demon gods in the lower levels of the demon abyss had strange expressions on their faces. It was a surprise. It was also panic. An ancient demon god has awakened. Ancient demon god. The weakest one was a true immortal. It could be said that the ancient demon gods were the most powerful ones among all the demon gods. However, after the ancient war, all the ancient demon gods fell into a deep sleep. At this moment, the commotion caused by immortal Lord Vast Song had undoubtedly awakened the ancient demon gods. Vast Song. A loud voice came from the depths of the demon abyss. It was a simple word. It shook the hearts of all the demon gods, as if they would suffocate at any time. Ancient demon god. The immortal demon god was hiding in the depths of the demon abyss at this moment, looking at the huge demon god that had awakened from a deep sleep. He felt his body trembling. As a newly ascended demon god, the immortal demon god had never seen a real ancient demon god. Until this moment, he finally understood how powerful the ancient demon god was. Just the aura that leaked out was enough to make him, a demon god, feel the shadow of death. Immortal Lord Vast Song looked sideways at the ancient demon god that had awakened from a deep sleep, and then slashed with his halberd. It was a simple attack. It divided the yin and yang of heaven and earth. The ancient demon god let out a roar that shook the heavens and earth, and then punched out, wanting to shatter the entire demon abyss. A terrifying power suddenly burst out. The demon gods that were close to it were all torn to pieces by the aftermath of this power. In the end, the two collided heavily. Rumble, the ancient demon god roared. His fist was torn apart by the halberd, and blood splattered all over the demon abyss. Immortal Lord Vastsong's posture was arrogant. He took a step forward, suppressing the void for eternity. He swung his halberd and directly cut off the ancient demon god's arm. Then, as the ancient demon god roared, the halberd plunged into his heart. Buzz, at this moment, the entire demon abyss let out a sorrowful cry. The demon god's steel also trembled violently. The ancient demon god had fallen. All the demon gods and demons felt a surge of sadness in their hearts. At the same time, one after another, terrifying auras gradually awakened from a deep sleep. With the fall of the first ancient demon god, finally, the other ancient demon gods woke up from their deep slumber. After immortal Lord Vastsong killed the ancient demon god, his originally solid body also became illusory. Then, he saw his body dissipate. The halberd bloomed with endless light. In an instant, it tore through the demon abyss void and plunged into the blood moon. I sense a familiar aura. Vastsong, it's him. Bowen has fallen. What a piece of trash. Haha, Vastsong has been dead for so many years. Bowen was indeed a piece of trash to be able to kill him with just a wisp of divine thought. However, Vastsong's strength is indeed terrifying. The ancient demon gods had awakened from their slumber and were conversing softly. However, to the other demon gods and demons, their voices were deafening. At this moment, a terrifying demon god that was 100,000 feet tall appeared. There were also huge demon gods with hundreds of arms and hands. Each demon god exuded an aura as deep as the abyss. I sense the aura of the great thousand worlds. The demon abyss is about to land on that world again. Haha, only when we can devour the origin of that world can we be truly eternal. There's still some time. There's no hurry. The ancient demon gods chatted for a moment, then fell silent. The ancient battle. For them, the loss was too great. Even after 1,000,000 years of deep sleep, they still could not fully recover. The so-called deep sleep. In fact, they were nourishing their injuries. However, before an ancient demon god fell asleep, he opened his mouth and swallowed dozens of almighty demon gods. He then smacked his mouth and fell asleep again. Seeing this, the other demon gods were all hiding at the side, trembling in fear. The demon gods that were high and mighty in the eyes of the upper demons were like ants in front of the ancient demon gods. In the demon abyss, the ranks of the demons were very strict. The immortal demon god hid in his residence and did not even dare to breathe loudly. Ancient demon god. This is the legendary ancient demon god. He was scared. He was really scared. Demon gods were also afraid of death. If he was swallowed by the ancient demon god, he would really fall and his name would be removed from the demon god tablet. It was not easy for him to become a demon god. The immortal demon god did not want to fall so easily. However, in addition to his fear, there was a strong desire in his eyes. Ancient demon god. This was a powerful existence at the top of the demon abyss. Becoming an ancient demon god was probably the goal of all demon gods. On the other side, the halberd tore through the demon abyss and directly escaped into the endless void. Only a stream of light could be seen, cutting through the outer realm void. What a powerful aura! Hiss, so fragrant, so powerful. Many demons looked into the distance where a terrifying aura was approaching. However, that aura was both terrifying and incomparably alluring at the same time. Suddenly, some demons of the void could not resist the temptation and chased after that aura. They only saw a halberd breaking through the void. Some demons of the void could not help but attack, but before they could touch the halberd, they were torn apart by the endless sharpness. Boom! The halberd broke through the void. All the demons of the void along the way died one after another. In the deepest part of the outer realm void, there was a black shadow that covered the sky. At this moment, the black shadow seemed to have sensed something. Two beams of light shot out from its eyes and instantly disappeared into the outer realm void. After a long time, the black shadow trembled slightly. Zubing. This Zubing looks a little familiar. I think I've seen him before. He was not sure. Or maybe it was too long ago, causing some of his memories to be covered in dust. It seemed like a moment had passed, but it also seemed like many days had passed. The black shadow maintained its current posture and did not move at all. Until one day, the black shadow trembled slightly. I remember, this is the sky-breaking halberd, Zubing of the great wide world. No, didn't Hao Tsang fall during the great calamity of the great wide world? Why would the sky-breaking halberd appear here? The black shadow was somewhat unwilling to believe. However, that was indeed the sky-breaking halberd. Just as he fell into self-doubt, the halberd had already arrived outside the barrier. At this moment, there was a powerful black shadow lingering outside the barrier. That powerful black shadow. It was the Void Demon King that Qin Shujian had seen before. He sensed the arrival of the halberd. The Demon King was greedy. Then, he saw the black shadow turn into a big hand, grabbing at the flowing light that was flying over. However, as soon as the black shadow touched the halberd, it was directly torn apart by a terrifying force. That was not all. The light on the halberd seemed to be pushed to the extreme and instantly pierced through the black shadow. Roar! The intense pain caused the Void Demon King to let out a shrill scream. In the end, he was nailed to death by the halberd on the barrier. Such an unforeseen event. It frightened the many void demons that were wandering outside the barrier, and then they fled in panic. After nailing the void demons to death, the light of the halberd also completely dimmed, as if the power inside had been exhausted. In the end, the halberd tore apart the barrier. It directly entered the barrier. At the same time, the black shadow in the depths of the outer space also seemed to wake up from his entanglement. Then, he reached out a hand and grabbed the halberd. Unfortunately, the halberd had already entered the barrier, and the barrier that was torn apart had been repaired. In an instant, the big hand bombarded the barrier. A terrifying force was released, but it did not shake the barrier at all. Instead, the force of the vibration caused the big hand to collapse and collapse. Hao Tsang. The black shadow let out an angry roar, but in the end, he had to stop. The barrier was too strong. Even if it was him, it would not be easy to break the barrier. On the other side, after the halberd entered the barrier, there was suddenly an endless thunder tribulation descending, only to see the halberd stop in the void. the dense thunder tribulation struck down. A terrifying aura instantly spread out in a vast and mighty manner. P.S. It has been restored. There will be one more update later. There will be at least 18,000 updates today. In addition, the book giveaway event has started again. Everyone can participate. In the character audition, Old Sheen is lucky to enter the top 10 of the Prince Charming list. Everyone can go and fight. Chapter 663. Such an unforeseen event. Naturally, it attracted the attention of all the experts. Zhu Bing is transcending the tribulation in the demon clan's secret realm in the Western Prefecture. The moment the sky-breaking halberd tore through the barrier between heaven and earth and entered the Western Prefecture to transcend the tribulation, the demon emperor noticed the commotion. He looked up at the lightning falling from the sky, his eyes full of shock. That terrifying power. Even the demon emperor, who had broken through to the true immortal realm, trembled. After all, true immortals in the lower 3 levels had just stepped into the ranks of true immortals. Compared to the sky-breaking halberd, Zhu Bing, it was still far behind. After the shock, the demon emperor's eyes suddenly became fiery. A top-notch Zhu Bing. For everyone, it was an irresistible temptation. After all, among all the divine weapons, only Zhu Bing was at the top. With his current true immortal realm, he could perfectly exert the power that Zhu Bing should have. After all, it became stronger when it met a strong opponent. That was the most powerful characteristic of Zhu Bing. Not only was the demon emperor shocked, but the other true immortals in the 4 major continents also turned their eyes to the Western Prefecture. Zhu Bing, Qin Shujian stood up in the courtyard. Although the halberd was transcending the tribulation in the Western Prefecture, he could still sense the vast fluctuation. For this, he couldn't help but activate his Dharma Eye, which directly penetrated hundreds of millions of miles of the void and looked at the Western Prefecture. Soon, Qin Shujian saw the halberd that was nurtured in the thunder tribulation. It was also Zhu Bing. He sensed an aura from the halberd that was more terrifying than that of the Godslayer. In other words, that ancestral armament was in existence even more frightening than the god-slaughtering blade. 5 tribulations Zhu Bing? Or is it higher than the 5 tribulations Zhu Bing? Qin Shujian wasn't sure, but there was no doubt that the halberd was at least a 5 tribulations Zhu Bing. Or, Zhu Bing was about to become one of the 5 tribulations. At this moment, as the heavenly tribulation descended, he couldn't help but think of the rumors about Zhu Bing's tribulation. I know who he is. The sky-breaking halberd. The sky-breaking halberd has appeared. Marquis Baiyun is the reincarnation of immortal monarch Haozong. The god-slaying saber screamed in shock. His words were full of shock. Immortal Lord Haozong? Qin Shujian's heart skipped a beat. He turned to the godslayer and asked in confusion, "Who is immortal Haozong?" He had never heard of this name before, but from the godslayer's tone, he could tell. It could be inferred. Immortal monarch Vastsong was definitely a supreme expert. Hearing the question, the god-slaying saber took a deep breath and said, "There were 365 true immortals in the ancient celestial court. Among them, the sovereign heavenly emperors were the most respected. However, not all of the true immortals were inferior to the sovereign heavenly emperors. Among them, there were true immortals with extraordinary talent. Their strength had reached a shocking level. Even if they weren't emperors, they were not weaker than the ancient emperors. In fact, they were even stronger than the ancient emperors." Immortal Lord Vastsong was once an expert of the human clan. But when the ancient emperor Xiao wanted to crown him as the human emperor, he refused and then joined the heavenly court as an official. His strength had reached an extremely terrifying level. The human emperor once said that immortal Lord Vastsong had reached the 8th level of true immortal. There were also rumors that immortal Lord Vastsong had reached the 9th level of true immortal. He was not much weaker than the Emperor of Heaven, but no one knows the details. But one thing is for sure, immortal Master Haozong is very strong, very strong. In ancient times, only the celestial emperor could suppress him. The god-slaying saber told him everything about immortal ruler Haozong. At first, he didn't know that Marquis Baiyun was a reincarnation of a true immortal, But at this moment, he knew everything. Immortal Lord Vastsong, a top true immortal of the upper 3 levels. In the ancient times, he was also a supreme existence. Speaking of this, Godslayer seemed to calm down a little. After a pause, he continued, "The sky-breaking halberd is Zhu Bing in Immortal Lord Vastsong's hands, but it's not Zhu Bing of the human clan. This Zhu Bing had reached the level of 4 tribulations in the ancient times. At this moment, it should be transforming from the 4th tribulation to the 5th tribulation." At the mention of Zhu Bing's tribulation, his tone was extremely solemn. If ancestral armaments had any natural enemies, then the heavenly tribulation would be their greatest threat. Everything in the world. It was impossible for them to be truly immortal. Zhu Bing was the same. Every time his power became stronger, Zhu Bing would have to go through a tribulation of heaven and earth. Once he passed it, his strength would increase greatly. But if he couldn't pass it, he would turn into ashes under the thunder tribulation. At this point, countless years of cultivation would vanish like smoke in thin air. Immortal Lord Vastsong, Sky-breaking halberd. Qin Shujian muttered these 2 names. Finally, he looked at the closed door. There, Marquis Baiyun's aura also became stronger. And vaguely, it was also resonating with the sky-breaking halberd. Qin Shujian glanced at it and took a step forward. In the blink of an eye, he had already left the Qian Yuan realm. The sky-breaking halberd had appeared. This was a big deal. After all, who wouldn't want powerful ancestral armaments? At this moment, there might be a true immortal who would snatch Zhu Bing. Godslayer also left with Qin Shujian. "Senior, what do you think is the probability of the sky-breaking halberd successfully transcending the tribulation?" "I'm not sure," Godslayer said. "No one can be sure whether Zhu Bing will succeed or not. However, with the current power of the sky-breaking halberd, there should still be a high chance of success." Qin Shujian turned his head and looked at Godslayer. "Senior, if you transcend the tribulation, are you confident?" Hearing this, Godslayer was silent for a long time. Finally, he said slowly, "It's hard to say. Millions of years ago, I was already Zhu Bing's 4th tribulation. But until now, I haven't had the chance to transcend the 5th tribulation. I don't have the chance or the confidence." He admitted. He didn't have the courage to transcend the tribulation. There were 2 ways for Zhu Bing to transcend the tribulation. Firstly, if the ancestral armament killed too many experts, it would accumulate so much power that it had no choice but to undergo a tribulation. Second, Zhu Bing took the initiative to lead the tribulation to descend. It could be said that there were 2 ways to transcend the tribulation. One was passive, and the other was active. But no matter which way it was, the success rate of transcending the tribulation was not high. At this moment, the thunder tribulation descended in the western prefecture. The sky-breaking halberd shot out endless light in the air, shattering all the thunder that bombarded down. No matter how powerful the thunder was, there was no way to hurt him. It was also at this moment, the thunder tribulation suddenly became terrifying. Rumble, the mother stream of laws appeared. Countless long rivers of laws flowed from it and finally converged into the tribulation cloud. Suddenly, a terrifying aura was emitted from it. The sky of the entire western prefecture became oppressive. The living beings raised their heads. Looking at the thunder tribulation, their eyes were full of horror. Some cultivators flew at this moment. However, as soon as they rose, they were bombarded by the overflowing thunder tribulation. Their bodies exploded and they fell from the sky with a scream. Seeing this, those cultivators were even more silent. "That seems to be a mighty figure." Hiss, what a terrifying thunder tribulation. A mighty figure was simply flying and was struck down by the thunder tribulation. Such power. Even the emperors of the various clans were unwilling to face it at this time. In the human territory, Huazhan and the other city lords of the 4 cities gathered. Everyone's expression was extremely solemn. City Lord South said, "Has the news of Zhu Bing's birth been sent back to the eastern continent? With such power, the human emperor will definitely sense it. It's not a big problem even if we don't send a message." Huazhan shook his head slightly. Such a commotion. Which powerhouse in the 4 continents could not sense it? At this point, Huajian's expression became solemn, and he said in a deep voice, Zhu Bing has appeared in the Western Prefecture. I'm afraid a great war will break out next. Now that all the clans have produced true immortals, if a great war really breaks out, I'm afraid it will touch the true immortal level. During this period of time, let the other cultivators of the human race temporarily retreat to the eastern continent. Otherwise, I'm afraid there will be many casualties. A great war at the true immortal level. That was no joke. One could tell just by looking at the power caused by the few ancient true immortals who broke out of the seal. If a true immortal really attacked, it would definitely be an earth-shattering battle. The void shook. Qin Shujian walked out from inside. Huajian and the others were stunned. Then they bowed and saluted. Greetings, Emperor Qin. The birth of Zhu Bing's sky-breaking halberd of the human race will definitely attract the other true immortals to fight for it. You all return to the four cities and activate the array formation to protect it at critical times. Qin Shujian said calmly. Huajian and the others heard this and cupped their hands to accept the order. We obey. Soon, everyone turned and left, entering the four cities. However, their hearts were also shocked by what Qin Shujian said about Zhu Bing of the human race. In the eastern city, Dan Hao stared at the sky-breaking halberd with burning eyes and said coldly, This is Zhu Bing of the human race. We can't let outsiders take it away. In his opinion, something of the human race could only belong to the human race. Even if it was a needle or a piece of thread, outsiders could not take it away. Not to mention, it was a supreme divine weapon like Zhu Bing. Huajian's expression was solemn. A war is inevitable. However, since Emperor Qin is here, Emperor Zhao should be here too. With the two human emperors here, outsiders can't take Zhu Bing away. For the two human emperors, he had great confidence. The current situation of the human race was all thanks to them. In the territory of the human race, Qin Shujian looked at the sky with his hands behind his back. For him, since Marquis Baiyun was the reincarnation of immortal Lord Haozong, then the other party's Zhu Bing was naturally Zhu Bing of the human race. There was nothing wrong with this theory. Moreover, at this time, the appearance of the sky-breaking halberd was clearly aimed at Marquis Baiyun, a divine weapon of such a level. Even the god-slaying saber in his hand was inferior. Under such circumstances, how could Qin Shujian allow Zhu Bing to fall into the hands of outsiders? After all, the main reason why the human race was able to occupy the eastern continent without moving was because of the ancestral armament. Looking at the thousands of races in the four major continents, except for the demon race who had an incomplete heavenly demon temple, the other races didn't have Zhu Bing. However, all the races had one more Zhu Bing. It wasn't easy for the human race to grow to its current level. Zhu Bing was indeed very powerful. Zhu Bing, who could perfectly unleash its power, was even more terrifying. It was just like how Qin Shujian was able to kill the sealed perfected immortal of the deity race instantly with the god-slaying saber in his hand. That was his own strength and also the power of the god-slaying saber. At this moment, with the appearance of the mother stream of laws, the power of the thunder tribulation became even more violent. Soon, a figure walked out of the long river of laws and threw a punch at the sky-breaking halberd. That punch, it directly shattered the void, causing the sky-breaking halberd to tremble violently. When he saw the illusory figure, he was shocked. Qin Shujian was also shocked. This was because he sensed a supreme power that was difficult to resist in front of the illusory figure. This feeling, it made him more terrifying than when he faced ordinary perfected immortals. Is that the shadow of an ancient powerhouse? Qin Shujian wasn't too sure. The Godslayer said, It's true that it's the shadow of an ancient powerhouse, but it might not be an ancient powerhouse. The mother stream of laws is imprinted with the shadows of all the powerhouses that have been born in the history of heaven and earth. Zhu Bing's tribulation transcendence is the greatest threat from this. When the thunder tribulation transcendence appears, the shadows of these powerhouses will be given power by heaven and earth, causing them to recover to a certain extent. It might be at its peak, or it might be 1/10 or 1/100th of its power. But what you have to know is that every powerhouse that can be imprinted by heaven and earth is an extremely terrifying existence. Such an existence, even if it recovers 1/100th of its power, is enough to blow up a perfected immortal of the lower 3 levels. Zhu Bing of the first tribulation has to withstand the attack of an expert. Every tribulation after that will have an additional mark of an expert. The mark of an expert. Qin Shujian's gaze was incomparably solemn. As the first shadow of an expert made its move, the sky-breaking halberd only trembled for a moment before recovering. Then, the second shadow of an expert appeared, and with a fingerprint, its power was enough to destroy heaven and earth. The sky-breaking halberd seemed to sense a great threat. Endless sharpness overflowed from the stone-like halberd body, and finally, it turned into a halberd that broke the sky and slashed toward the shadow. Rumble. The two collided, and the sky-breaking halberd's attack was instantly torn apart. The final finger accurately bombarded the halberd body. Roar. A crisp and pleasant sound resounded throughout the western prefecture. After the sky-breaking halberd trembled a few times, it recovered. At this point, there were already 2 shadows of powerhouses making their move. There are still 3 more tribulations. Qin Shujian thought to himself. Just as the Godslayer said, Zhu Bing of each tribulation would have an additional tribulation. Now that the sky-breaking halberd had transformed from the 4th tribulation to the 5th, it would definitely have to withstand 5 tribulations. The 2 powerhouses made their move. He had already felt a huge threat from Lu Xian, especially the 2nd powerhouse. In the face of that finger that could destroy heaven and earth, Qin Shujian was not confident that he could resist. Seeing this, the Godslayer shook his head with some regret. It's a pity that Zhu Bing can't perfectly exert his own power. Otherwise, the sky-breaking halberd wouldn't have a problem transcending the tribulation. Zhu Bing was very strong. However, it was impossible for him to perfectly unleash his strength. So, although Zhu Bing was strong, the real determinant of a Zhu Bing's strength was the cultivator in charge. If there was a powerhouse in charge of Zhu Bing, then both of them would be very strong. On the contrary, if there was a weak cultivator in charge, then the power that Zhu Bing could exert would be limited. At this moment, the sky-breaking halberd was transcending the tribulation. It completely relied on its own foundation. The Godslayer was also very clear about this. Qin Shujian did not reply. His gaze was fixed on the sky-breaking halberd in the sky. Every time a powerhouse made a move, Qin Shujian could feel the overflowing Taoist rhymes from it. From these Taoist rhymes, he seemed to have a deeper understanding of the laws that he walked. Soon, Qin Shujian understood. This time, Zhu Bing transcending the tribulation was also a great benefit for cultivators. As the 2nd powerhouse's shadow retreated, the 3rd powerhouse's shadow walked out of the lightning tribulation. The moment that powerhouse walked out, a terrifying power swept through the world like a gust of wind. There seemed to be thousands of dragon roars, causing everyone's heart to tremble. The demon emperor looked at the shadow whose appearance could not be seen clearly. He felt a familiar aura from it. That aura, it came from his bloodline, and also from the demon emperor's laws that he walked. In just a moment, the demon emperor reacted. Which expert did this illusory figure originate from? The ancient demon emperor. The Godslayer solemnly spat out a few words. Qin Shujian's eyes were also solemn. The ancient demon emperor. His eyes were locked on the shadow that appeared. The ancient demon emperor. That was a supreme existence in the upper 3 layers. After all, the ancient emperors were all true immortals in the upper 3 layers, and the demon emperor was the most powerful one among them. 4 powerhouses of this level. Qin Shujian had never seen one before. Among all the true immortals he had seen, Xia Yi was the first. However, Xia Yi was only a middle 3 layers true immortal. There was no way for him to reach the upper 3 layers. So, Qin Shujian really wanted to see how strong was an upper 3 layers true immortal. The ancient demon emperor reached out with one hand. A simple palm was able to suppress the void of heaven and earth. The long river of laws also shook crazily. Under this palm, the sky-breaking halberd was still trembling. Traces of sharpness overflowed, wanting to shatter this power. But there was no way. In the end, the palm fell. The sky-breaking halberd shook crazily. The stone-like halberd body seemed to have dimmed a little. But soon, the ancient demon emperor's shadow had disappeared. The originally dim world instantly became bright and clear. An upper 3 layers true immortal is indeed extremely powerful. Qin Shujian took a deep breath. Just when the ancient demon emperor attacked, he could feel the threat of death looming over him. That palm. If the target was not the sky-breaking halberd, then he did not have the confidence to continue. Then, Qin Shujian looked at the dim sky-breaking halberd and frowned. The third tribulation is already like this. Are you sure the sky-breaking halberd can pass the fifth tribulation? He could feel it. The sky-breaking halberd's aura had weakened a lot. If it forcefully passed the next 2 tribulations, there was a high chance that it would fail. The god-slaying saber said calmly, "The ancestral armament's tribulation is a tribulation where every tribulation will be stronger than the one before it. It is completely dependent on probability and luck. Perhaps the 4th tribulation's illusory figure is inferior to the ancient era's demon emperor. After all, there are not many experts in the world who can reach the level of the ancient demon emperor." Zhu Bing's tribulation. In addition to relying on one's own foundation, it also depended on luck. The shadow of an expert appeared in the Thunder Tribulation, but it was the random kind. However, Godslayer was not sure that the sky-breaking halberd could really pass the tribulation. Although there were not many existences stronger than the demon emperor in the world, there were still some. If an expert of that level really appeared, the sky-breaking halberd was most likely going to fail. After all, the other party's essence was still the 4th tribulation Zhu Bing. However, even if the sky-breaking halberd failed to pass the tribulation, others would not have the chance to interfere. Because Zhu Bing was going through the tribulation, he could only rely on himself. If other cultivators interfered, it would only make the Thunder Tribulation stronger. When that time came, it would really be a destructive Thunder Tribulation. Qin Shujian held his breath and looked at the sky-breaking halberd that was going through the 4th tribulation in the sky. To be honest, he did not want the sky-breaking halberd to fail the tribulation, because in this way, the human race would have one less supreme divine weapon. However, Qin Shujian thought of another thing. That was, excluding the sky-breaking halberd, Marquis Baiyun still had a Zhu Bing in his hands. If he remembered correctly, it was a 3rd tribulation Zhu Bing. If the sky-breaking halberd succeeded this time, then Marquis Baiyun would have 2 Zhu Bing in his hands. A 3rd tribulation. A 5th tribulation. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian felt a little sour in his heart. 2 Zhu Bing. Could it be that the stone spear chose Marquis Baiyun because it sensed that he had an extraordinary background? He only had some guesses about this. On the other side, when the ancient demon emperor's shadow was destroyed, the 4th expert shadow had already appeared. This expert shadow was still very powerful, but compared to the ancient demon emperor, it was much weaker. Soon, the 5th tribulation appeared. The experts that appeared this time were similar to the 4th tribulation. Although the sky-breaking halberd had consumed a lot of energy, it would not be a problem for it to survive this tribulation. After the 5th tribulation dissipated, countless rays of light scattered from the sky. A powerful aura spread out from the sky-breaking halberd. At the same time, the sky collapsed. A big hand grabbed at the sky-breaking halberd. Seeing this, Qin Shujian took a step forward and also punched out, colliding fiercely with the big hand. A terrifying power spread out. It caused the void to turn into turbulence. This is the sky-breaking halberd of the human race, Zhu Bing. I hope you can give me face and not fight for it. Qin Shujian appeared in front of the sky-breaking halberd, and his voice spread across 100,000 miles. He did not take the sky-breaking halberd, because Zhu Bing was spiritual. If it was not taken by its master, it would definitely be counterattacked. Although Qin Shujian was confident that he could suppress the sky-breaking halberd, he did not do so. After speaking, immediately, someone walked out from the void. With a sneer, he said, "When an ancestral armament is born, it belongs to the virtuous. Since when did it become something belonging to the human clan? Could it be that the human clan is used to being overbearing?" That's right, Ben Huang. This Zhu Bing belongs to the ice race. An expert that seemed to be in ice appeared. Endless coldness spread out, enough to penetrate all living things. Then, Stars appeared in the sky again. Finally, it turned into a person and landed. This thing should belong to the star race. This is the Western state. Everyone, don't fight for it. The demon emperor appeared last, and his gaze fell on the sky-breaking halberd. At this moment, as many as 4 true immortals appeared. As for the other true immortals, they all looked here, but no one appeared. Everyone could understand. The appearance of Zhu Bing would definitely cause a storm of blood. The first to appear was not necessarily a good thing. More and more, he was waiting for the right opportunity to make his move, thinking that the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Qin Shujian's eyes were cold. He already held the Godslayer in his hand. So, you are destined to fight with the human race. The human race already has several Zhu Bing, but now you want to fight for the Zhu Bing. You are too greedy. Star Emperor sneered. Before the breakthrough, he admitted that he was no match for Qin Shujian. But now, he had become a true immortal. Star Emperor did not care much about this Emperor Qin in front of him. After speaking, for long rivers of laws broke through the sky. Celestial phenomenon. Qin Shujian pushed his power to the extreme. Finally, he held the Godslayer tightly and slashed at Star Emperor with his strongest blade. Buzz! An ancient and desolate aura swept through the world. The movement of the blade was not fast, but it seemed to freeze everyone's mind. It was a simple blade. It seemed to cut through time and space. After a short moment of shock, Star Emperor immediately came back to his senses. Finally, a large amount of starlight gathered from the stars in the sky and turned into a shocking punch. Rumble! The long blade collided with the fist. The terrifying power instantly tore the starlight apart. In the end, the Godslayer slashed heavily on Star Emperor's body. In an instant, Star Emperor's body, which seemed to be made of starlight, was torn apart. Star-like blood splashed across the sky. Everything happened too fast. When everyone came back to their senses, they found that Star Emperor had been severely injured. His body was almost cut in half. It was a shocking sight. At this moment, the stars in the sky were sending a large amount of energy to help Star Emperor heal his injuries. But even so, it was also extremely slow. Qin Shujian swallowed a hollow pill indiscernibly. Then, he coldly looked at the other true immortals and shouted, "If anyone is dissatisfied, you can attack now. Ben Huang will take it all." Hearing that, the other cultivators did not say anything, because they were all immersed in Qin Shujian's blade. One had to know, Star Emperor was not weak. Among the many true immortals, he was second only to the Demon Emperor. Compared to the true immortals of the other small clans, he was even more powerful. But even so, he was still severely injured by Qin Shujian's blade. If it was another true immortal of the other small clans, he might have already died. Thinking of that, most of the true immortals were speechless. Killing a true immortal with one blade. This kind of power was enough to be called shocking. There had always been a rumor that Qin Shujian of the human clan was comparable to a true immortal, but some cultivators had doubts in their hearts. But now, no one had doubts in their hearts anymore. Because the other party could severely injure Star Emperor with one blade. His strength was enough to prove everything. Among the true immortals who appeared, Ice Emperor looked at Qin Shujian with eyes full of fear. And besides that, there was also an undetectable fear. In terms of strength, he was not as good as Star Emperor. In other words, facing this blade, Ice Emperor even felt that he was in danger of dying. But he wasn't willing to retreat just like that. So, Ice Emperor did not retreat or say anything. He was waiting for a suitable opportunity. From the end of the sky-breaking halberd's tribulation to the appearance of many true immortals, everyone thought that an earth-shattering battle would immediately erupt. In the end, Qin Shujian slashed with his blade. It directly shocked the other true immortals. Such a situation, it was something that no one else had expected. The human clan has no intention of becoming enemies with the other clans. This sky-breaking halberd is indeed Zhu Bing of the human clan. I hope that everyone will give us face and not fight for it. Qin Shujian's expression also eased a little. Looking at Ice Emperor and the other true immortals hiding in the dark, he warned, True immortals were divided into 5 stages. His strength was probably at the 3rd stage, but if combined with the power of the Godslayer, he could even kill a demon emperor. Of course, the main problem was whether or not they could afford this consumption. Just like now, that slash had already consumed a lot of his strength, and he had to take the Hallow Pill to replenish it. But even if he took the Hallow Pill, there was no way to completely recover to his peak state. Therefore, it was not easy to drive the Zhu Bing. If possible, Qin Shujian did not want to fight with the true immortals of the various clans. After all, his endurance was really not good. Celestial slaying immortals, Qin Shihuang's strength is indeed astonishingly powerful. However, controlling the might of an ancestral armament is not an easy task. This emperor also wishes to know whether or not you will really be able to unleash a second slash. The demon emperor, who had been silent, said lightly at this time. Qin Shujian's eyes were cold. Demon emperor, you can try it yourself? The worst situation. It still appeared. He was afraid that someone could see through him. Judging from the current situation, the demon emperor had clearly seen through something. However, it was impossible to back down at this time. There was no reason for him to give up the Zhu Bing. And judging from the current situation, if he gave up the Zhu Bing, it would most likely fall into the hands of the demon clan. The demon clan already had the heavenly demon temple. If they had the sky-breaking halberd, it would be even more troublesome. That's what I was thinking. The demon emperor stretched out his hand, and a miniature palace appeared in his palm. The demon clan's Zhu Bing, heavenly demon temple. On the other side, the other true immortals consciously retreated a little. The demon clan was going to fight with the human clan. They were happy to see it happen. Regardless of whether they were allies or not, these true immortals did not want the Zhu Bing to fall into the hands of other clans. Just as the two of them were about to make a move, the void shook violently. A palm shattered the void and directly pressed down on the demon emperor. The demon emperor's expression did not change. He also struck out with his palm. The two palms collided and a terrifying power erupted. In the end, the demon emperor grunted and was blasted hundreds of miles away. The skin on his palm also cracked under the effect of the terrifying power. It was a simple attack. The demon emperor was already injured. Such a change also made the ice emperor and the others' expressions change drastically. At this moment, in the shattered void, Emperor Zhao stepped out and looked at the demon emperor. He said calmly, "Demon emperor, if you want to make a move, how about Bin Huang play with you?" Emperor Zhao. The demon emperor's eyes were cold. The other true immortals of the other clans also looked extremely solemn. Before the appearance of true immortals, Emperor Zhao was the leader of the 4 major continents. After the emperors became immortals, there was no real distinction between them. They just tacitly agreed that the true immortals of the top clans were the strongest. However, now that the 2 emperors of the 2 clans had a simple exchange, it was obvious who was stronger. At this moment, Emperor Zhao of the human clan was considered the strongest among the true immortals. Seeing this scene, these true immortals were also shocked by the strength of the human clan. Emperor Qin severely injured Emperor Star with 1 strike. Emperor Zhao injured the demon emperor with 1 strike. Their strength was not comparable to ordinary true immortals. More importantly, Emperor Qin of the human clan had not become an immortal yet. He was already so powerful before becoming an immortal. If he became an immortal, he would definitely be even more terrifying. On the other side, the demon emperor's injuries had already recovered in an instant. Looking at Emperor Zhao in front of him, he did not retreat. Instead, he controlled the heavenly demon temple to directly suppress him. A true immortal, he could already fully activate the power of Zhu Bing. Although the heavenly demon temple was a defensive supreme treasure, its offensive power could not be underestimated. The temple suppressed the void between heaven and earth. A terrifying sealing power descended, causing the expressions of all the true immortals who were affected to change drastically. Retreat. This was the first thought that rose in the minds of all the true immortals. Just as the true immortals retreated, Emperor Zhao's expression was normal. He simply pressed out with his palm. Endless Taoist rhymes lingered in his jade-like palm. In the end, he heavily bombarded the heavenly demon temple. Boom! A terrifying power erupted. The Taoist rhymes on his palm dissipated. Then, under the power of the heavenly demon temple, it cracked. At the same time, Emperor Zhao's body swayed slightly, but he did not retreat. The heavenly demon temple's power is not bad. He gave a comment. However, his posture and the scene of him resisting the heavenly demon temple with one hand looked like he was humiliating the demon clan. The demon emperor was so angry that he laughed. He lifted the heavenly demon temple with one hand and suppressed it again. Resisting Zhu Bing with your physical body. Ben Huang wants to see how many strikes you can take. On the other side, Qin Shujian's gaze was solemn. The Godslayer in his hand emitted a sharp light. Emperor Zhao was indeed very strong, but he was at a disadvantage because he did not have Zhu Bing. In this way, it was still a question whether he could defeat the demon emperor who held the heavenly demon temple. For the human clan, Emperor Zhao could not be defeated. This was because from the moment the human clan walked out of the eastern continent, the demon emperor had already created an invincible image. It was the same. If the various clans wanted to attack the human clan, they had to consider whether they could resist this powerhouse. If Emperor Zhao was defeated by the demon emperor, although it would not cause the human clan's current situation to collapse, their reputation would fall by a lot. In the face of the heavenly demon temple's suppression, Emperor Zhao was not in a hurry. He turned his head to look at the sky-breaking halberd that was waiting quietly in the void and said, "Immortal Lord Haozong is also a human. Ben Huang is the human emperor of the human clan. I would like to borrow Zhu Bing. I hope you won't refuse." As soon as he finished speaking, the sky-breaking halberd trembled slightly. Then, Emperor Zhao held the sky-breaking halberd with one hand and immediately slashed at the heavenly demon temple. It was a simple halberd strike. It shattered the yin and yang of heaven and earth as if it was going to split the entire western continent into two. Boom! The two collided, erupting with a terrifying power. The heavenly demon temple shook violently. Then, it flew back and landed in the demon emperor's hand. At the same time, a terrifying power came from the heavenly demon temple, causing him to cough up blood. The demon emperor looked at Emperor Zhao in horror. In the end, he saw that there was an undetectable crack on the heavenly demon temple. Without thinking, he turned around and left. As for the remaining true immortals, when Emperor Zhao cast his gaze over, they all retreated one after another. They had to leave. No one expected that the sky-breaking halberd was really Zhu Bing of the human clan and that it could be used by Emperor Zhao. What a terrifying power. Even if the demon emperor had the heavenly demon temple, he had to turn around and flee. Although the other true immortals believed that their strength was not bad, they were not confident that they could resist. At this moment, in the Qian Yuan realm of the eastern continent, Marquis Baiyun had finally recovered to the final stage. He looked at the sky and said faintly, "Don't worry about it. Halberd, come." As soon as he finished speaking, the sky-breaking halberd broke free from Emperor Zhao's hand and flew toward the eastern continent. P.S. I might not be able to update on time in the morning. You don't have to wait. However, I'll be able to update 18,000 times starting tomorrow. At most, I'll update sooner or later. I'll give you 18,000 copies today. Please subscribe and get monthly votes. Chapter 664. The sky-breaking halberd entered the void. The restrictions of heaven and earth could not stop it at all. Not only that, even the Qian Yuan realm was easily torn apart by it and fell into the hands of Marquis Baiyun. He held the sky-breaking halberd in his hand. A familiar feeling rose from the bottom of his heart. A smile appeared on Marquis Baiyun's face. Although his eyes were calm, there was an unusual vicissitude in them. It's been 1,000,000 years. I didn't expect that we would meet again. He stroked the sky-breaking halberd with his palm. Marquis Baiyun whispered to himself. In response, the sky-breaking halberd trembled slightly. Then, a deep voice came from inside. "Immortal sir, you're back." "I'm back." It was a simple sentence, but it contained a lot of emotions. Hearing that, the sky-breaking halberd trembled even more violently, and its deep voice gradually became excited. I've been waiting for you in the demon abyss for 1,000,000 years. The demon chi in the demon abyss wanted to assimilate me into a demon weapon, but I never gave in. It was all to wait for your return, immortal monarch. Now that you're back, you and I will fight against all the races in the world again. Don't worry, there will be a chance. Marquis Bayun smiled slightly. He knew very well how far the demon abyss was from here. Moreover, he also knew how dangerous the demon abyss was. It was not easy for the sky-breaking halberd to escape from the demon abyss and then return to the great thousand world. Then Marquis Bayun said, I remember that 1,000,000 years ago, although you were already atop 4 Tribulation Zubing, there was still a certain gap before you could advance. How could you advance directly now? When I was about to leave, the backup plan you left on me was activated. Then, I killed a few demon gods in the demon abyss, killed the ancient demon god Bowen, and killed a void demon king in the void outside the realm. These energies gathered and allowed me to advance to the 5 Tribulation Zubing, the sky-breaking halberd said. After he finished speaking, the body of his halberd trembled slightly. Then, a crystal stone fell from the sky. This is the crystal that the demon king turned into after he died. It happens that you can use it. Marquis Bayun caught the crystal. However, his eyes were somewhat cold. Evil void demons. I didn't think that this race would dare to covet the great thousand world even though they haven't gone extinct yet. If it weren't for the fact that I haven't recovered my strength yet, I would have definitely gone to the outer space and slaughtered a clan of evil void demons. As for the void demons, the Marquis of Northern Cloud knew a lot about this. In his previous life, when he was at his peak, he had dealt with the void demons many times. It was also because of this that he knew the real name of the extraterritorial demons, which was the void demons. The sky-breaking halberd said, When I entered the heaven and earth barrier, I sensed a demon emperor making a move. I'm afraid that the Void Fiend clan still has a lot of trump cards left. Demon Emperor? Is it Moziaro or Bahadur? I'm not sure. At that time, I had already entered the barrier between heaven and earth. I couldn't sense much, the sky-breaking halberd said in a low voice. Don't worry about it. The strength of the Void Evil Demon is just average. It's nothing. Our real threat comes from the demonic abyss. Marquis Bayun shook his head slightly. To him, the strength of the Void Fiend was just average. If it weren't for the vastness of the outer realm and the fact that the Void Fiend was so mysterious, it would have been wiped out by the heavenly court in ancient times. Compared to the demonic abyss, although the Void Fiend occupied the title of Evil Demon, its strength was too weak. Of course, with the strength of an immortal lord, even the Demon Emperor is not afraid. Since you came out of the demonic abyss, do you know how far away it is from the great thousand world? The Marquis of Northern Cloud did not talk much about the Void Fiend. He was concerned about the problem. Only the demonic abyss. The sky-breaking halberd thought for a moment and said, I stayed in the Void Fiend for a long time. It's hard to estimate the time, but it's at least a few days. Now, the aura of the demonic abyss is very close. However, the demonic abyss moves slowly. It will take about 50 years for it to get close. Okay, I see. The Marquis of Northern Cloud nodded. 50 years was not much different from his estimation. After all, the spirit chi in the eastern continent was getting denser and denser, and the speed of its growth was getting faster and faster. At this moment, the Qin Yuan realm was shocked. At some point, Qin Shujian and Zhao Huang's voices were heard in the courtyard. The two of them looked at the Marquis of Northern Cloud with a complicated expression. A moment later, Zhao Huang sighed and said, I really want to know, are you the Marquis of Northern Cloud or Immortal Lord Haotsong? As soon as this question was asked, the scene suddenly became silent. Qin Shujian's gaze fell on the Marquis of Northern Cloud. He wanted to know how the other party would answer. Hearing this, the Marquis of Northern Cloud smiled slightly and said, There is no Marquis of Northern Cloud or Immortal Lord Haotsong in this world. There is only Shao Chengfeng of the human race. I see. A smile appeared on Zhao Huang's face. There was no Marquis of Northern Cloud. It meant that after the other party awakened the memories of his previous life, he was no longer willing to be a subject of the great Zhao. just like how immortal Lord Haozong refused to become the human emperor in ancient times. To put it bluntly, the other party was an expert who pursued cultivation wholeheartedly. As for becoming an official of the heavenly court, that was also because he was convinced by the strength of the Emperor of Heaven. As for the fact that there was no immortal Lord Haozong, it meant that the other party had not been assimilated by the memories of his previous life. Strictly speaking, the Marquis of Northern Cloud still had his current personality and then merged with the memories of immortal Lord Haozong. However, compared to his previous life, his heart was tied to the human race. The human race. Xiao Chengfeng. Zhao Huang was very satisfied with this answer. Qin Shujian also agreed. At least, the person in front of him was Xiao Chengfeng of the human race and not immortal Lord Haozong of the ancient heavenly court. This was because the words human race came before the three words Xiao Chengfeng. Then, Zhao Huang's expression turned solemn and he said in a deep voice, "If I give you a chance, are you willing to be the third human emperor of the human race?" The ancient Emperor Xia also asked me this question. At that time, my answer was no. Now that Zhao Huang is asking me this question, my answer is still no. Xiao Chengfeng shook his head slightly and said, "Although I can fight for the human race, I am not suitable to be the human emperor." All right. Zhao Huang had already expected this answer. Regarding this, although he felt regretful, he still respected the other party's choice. Xiao Chengfeng said, "I hope that Zhao Huang can arrange for someone to deal with the Marquis Mansion of Northern Cloud properly. After all, I am no longer the Marquis of Northern Cloud, and the Mansion of Northern Cloud needs someone to manage it." The human race was just too big. If he wanted to rule the entire human race, he could not rely on the power of a single person. Not to mention the Mansion of Northern Cloud. Even in other mansions, after the previous Marquis rebelled and died, there were new Marquis who took over. Zhao Huang said, "Ben Huang will make arrangements for the Mansion of Northern Cloud. If the Shao clan has a heavenly being, he can also take over the position of Marquis of Northern Cloud." The Shao clan has two people at the peak of the God martial arts realm, but it will take some time for them to break through to the heavenly being realm. Zhao Huang nodded, then looked at Qin Shujian and said, "Ben Huang has other things to deal with, so I will take my leave first." After that, he had already left the Qian Yuan realm. In the courtyard, Qin Shujian and Xiao Chengfeng sat opposite each other. "Brother Xiao, what do you plan to do next?" Looking at Xiao Chengfeng in front of him, Qin Shujian did not call him Marquis of Northern Cloud. Xiao Chengfeng smiled faintly and said, "If you don't mind, I plan to find a place to stay in the Qian Yuan realm. It would be great if Brother Xiao could stay." Qin Shujian smiled. He felt that he had a lot of questions to ask about the reincarnation of immortal Haozong, but he did not know how to start. In the end, the two chatted for a while. Xiao Chengfeng got up and left the courtyard, looking for a place to stay in the Qian Yuan realm. After he left, Qin Shujian took out the heaven list. Information about Xiao Chengfeng had already appeared on it. After all, the human race was now divided into two parts. One was the Great Zhao Imperial Court. The other was the cultivation world. Since Xiao Chengfeng had left the Great Zhao Imperial Court, it was equivalent to entering the cultivation world. The heaven list recorded the information of all the cultivators in the cultivation world, so he naturally appeared on the list. Name: Xiao Chengfeng Race. Human age: 872 Realm. Level 7 Celestial Being. Combat Power: 80,000. Talent Assessment: Excellent. Level 7 Celestial Being. 80,000 Combat Power. Qin Shujian took a deep breath. To be honest, he was shocked by Xiao Chengfeng's attributes. One must know, he was now at level 7 Celestial Being, and his combat power was only 120,000, and this was because of the perfect enhancement effect of the Source of Life. He looked at Xiao Chengfeng again. Level 7 Celestial Being, his combat power had reached 80,000. This was much stronger than the strongest celestial being of ancient times that Godslayer said. Such combat power. Qin Shujian had some doubts. When Emperor Zhao was at level 7 celestial being, he was left behind by the other party. Godslayer looked at the attributes on the heaven list. He was also very impressed. As expected of the reincarnation of immortal Haozong, this foundation is really frightening. Level 7 Celestial Being already has 80,000 combat power. He is destined to be a Celestial Being elite. This was a real Celestial Being killing immortals. A Celestial Being who could go against a true immortal. Just like Qin Shujian. At level 7 Celestial Being, he could almost kill a true immortal with one slash. Xiao Chengfeng now had the 5 Tribulations Zhu Bing in his hands. If he broke through again, his strength would definitely reach an extremely terrifying level. Qin Shujian was also silent for a long time before he finally put away the heaven list. Now he finally understood. He was not the only one with a truly powerful foundation. At this moment, there was also a lot of shock in the East Continent. The biggest thing, the Imperial Court had sent a new Celestial to take over the position of Marquis Bayun. The Xiao family that had ruled Bayun Mansion for thousands of years had completely retreated behind the scenes. However, these things, it only caused some shock before it calmed down. The current human race was no longer the human race of the past. There were 2 human sovereigns in charge. There was no possibility of internal strife in the human race. The shock in the East Continent was not big, but it caused a huge commotion in the other 3 continents. The reason? It was because of the sky-breaking halberds tribulation, the secret realm of the Star Tribe. The atmosphere in the Star Tribe was gloomy. In the main hall, many elders of the Star Tribe lowered their heads, not daring to make a sound. On the main seat, on the surface, the Star Emperor's injuries had healed, but his aura was still a little weak. Obviously, Qin Shujian's saber strike was not good even for a true immortal. Is there any news from the Demon Clan? After a long time, the Star Emperor's voice sounded in the main hall. Hearing that, an elder cupped his hands and said, "My Emperor, we went there as messengers, but we couldn't see the Demon Emperor in person." Ben Huang knows about this. The Star Emperor said calmly. The main hall was silent again. After a while, an elder looked up at the Star Emperor and said in a deep voice, "I wonder how my Emperor's injuries are now. Has he fully recovered?" This sentence made the Star Emperor's calm face turn ugly, but soon he recovered, shook his head and said, "The injuries left by Zhu Bing are not so easy to heal. The Emperor of the human clan is indeed amazing. He has such strength even before breaking through to the true immortal realm. If he breaks through to the true immortal realm, I'm afraid the human clan will have another invincible master." The Star Emperor was angry because of his injuries, but he was also worried about the future of the Star Clan. The human clan was too powerful. The Zhao Emperor was already the #1 true immortal realm cultivator. Even a top master like the Demon Emperor could only run away when facing the Zhao Emperor of the human clan, not to mention the other true immortals. The Zhao Emperor was already like this. If there was another Qin Emperor who became an immortal, who could stop the human clan among all the clans? An elder of the Star Clan said worriedly, "The human clan has taken over the East Continent, and the Zhao Emperor has become an immortal. He's powerful now. It won't be easy to deal with him." Ben Huang knows about this, of course. The Star Emperor said calmly, "It's just that we can't deal with the human clan, so we can only ally with the other clans." Long before, all the clans had an alliance to deal with the human clan. But that kind of alliance was just a verbal agreement without any real restrictions. The stronger the human clan was, such an alliance would be more unreliable, especially when some clans couldn't bear the pressure and leaned toward the human clan. The alliance would collapse. So in the Star Emperor's opinion, to deal with the human clan, he had to have a more reliable alliance. This was also the reason why he took the initiative to contact the Demon Clan. But the Demon Emperor avoided meeting him. This made the Star Emperor a little uncertain about the Demon Clan's attitude. Could it be that the Demon Emperor is afraid of the Zhao Emperor? This thought had just appeared in his mind when it was forcefully extinguished. That battle, although the Demon Emperor was defeated, he wasn't afraid of the human clan. Therefore, the Star Emperor could only assume that the Demon Emperor was injured in that battle, so he was in seclusion to recuperate and couldn't meet guests for the time being. In the Heavenly Demon Temple, now, only the Demon Emperor was inside. Besides him, there were no other elders. "How's your injury?" The sky-breaking halberd has advanced to the 5 Tribulation Zhu Bing, and its power has far surpassed mine. In addition, I'm afraid that if I get injured again, I'll fall from the third tribulation Zhu Bing to the third tribulation Zhu Bing. A calm voice sounded in the main hall. It was the voice of the heavenly demon temple. Hearing that, the demon emperor's face also darkened a little. The only foundation of the demon clan now was the heavenly demon temple. However, the unforeseen events that occurred one after another caused this unparalleled defensive ancestral armament to suffer damage repeatedly. Until now, it was about to fall to the level of the two tribulation Zhu Bing. Suppressing the anger in his heart, the demon emperor asked, "Is there a way to repair it?" "Yes, kill a few powerful creatures and use their blood essence to repair the heavenly demon temple." Powerful creatures? It's best if they're perfected immortals. If they're too weak, we'll need a lot of blood essence, the heavenly demon temple said. The demon emperor fell into deep thought. Perfected immortals. Based on the current situation of the world, there was no possibility of killing perfected immortals and nurturing the heavenly demon temple. After all, the demon clan's strength had been greatly reduced, and they were in a difficult situation. If they killed a few more perfected immortals, it would definitely arouse the hostility of the other clans. When that time came, the demon clan's situation would be even worse. When that time came, it was not a situation where an intact three tribulation Zhu Bing could change the situation. The demon emperor only pondered for a while before coming back to his senses. He said, "If it's a creature below the perfected immortal realm, how much blood essence do you need? The more, the better." After the heavenly demon temple finished speaking, he added, "The more blood essence I absorb, the stronger my strength will be. If possible, I can even directly advance to the four tribulation Zhu Bing. You have to know that compared to the other Zhu Bing, my main body focuses on defense, so my chances of transcending the tribulation will be higher." "Okay, Ben Huang will think of a way." The demon emperor nodded. The problem of blood essence could only be discussed in the future. However, the heavenly demon temple was damaged and had to be repaired. After all, this was the only Zhu Bing in the demon clan's hands. As for how to repair it, he could only think of a way. After confirming this matter, the demon emperor also turned his attention to the heaven-breaking halberd. "How much do you know about the heaven-breaking halberd?" The heaven-breaking halberd is the Zhu Bing in the hands of immortal Lord Haotsong of the heavenly court. Immortal Lord Haotsong is an expert in the heavenly court, second only to the Emperor of Heaven. An expert second only to the Emperor of Heaven? Don't tell me you don't count the ancient emperors? The demon emperor interrupted the heavenly demon temple. Hearing this, the heavenly demon temple's voice was still calm. "An expert second only to the Emperor of Heaven. This is not a publicly acknowledged saying. I only heard it from the ancient demon emperor. In ancient times, the demon emperor once fought with immortal Lord Haotsong, but he was defeated on the spot. Since then, the demon emperor told me that immortal Lord Haotsong is the strongest expert second only to the Emperor of Heaven." Hearing this, the demon emperor's expression immediately became serious. He had defeated the ancient demon emperor, the strongest expert second only to the Emperor of Heaven. This was not a small matter that could be ignored. He hadn't even heard of the names of existences at this level. One had to know. The inheritance of the demon race was extremely complete. From this, it could be seen. The way immortal Lord Haotsong did things was probably a little too low-key. Then, the demon emperor thought of another matter. Why did the sky-breaking halberd appear at this time? In the ancient war, immortal Lord Haotsong once killed his way into the demon abyss and never came out. However, not long after, there was a rain of blood in the human race. Rumor has it that immortal Lord Haotsong died. With the death of immortal Lord Haotsong, the sky-breaking halberd also disappeared in the demon abyss. Now that the sky-breaking halberd has reappeared, there is only one possibility. The heavenly demon temple paused for a moment. In the end, his tone became serious. Immortal Lord Haotsong reincarnated and cultivated again. Moreover, he awakened the wisdom of his previous life, which caused the sky-breaking halberd to reappear. Immortal Lord Haotsong reincarnated. That's right. This is the only possibility that the sky-breaking halberd would reappear. Moreover, immortal Lord Haotsong is a human. Even if he really reincarnated and cultivated again, he would only be a human. Therefore, I'm sure that another shocking genius has appeared in the human race. The heavenly demon temple said. The demon emperor's expression was very solemn. Without a doubt, immortal Lord Haotsong was a true immortal of the upper 3 levels, and he was a top-notch one, the reincarnation of an expert of this level. He would not be a simple figure. Moreover, with the reappearance of the sky-breaking halberd, the human race would have another Zhu Bing. In that case, on the surface, the human race already had 3 Zhu Bing. Thinking of the human race's current foundation and strength, a strong sense of fear rose in the demon emperor's heart. With the birth of a true immortal, the demon race no longer had any advantage against the human race. Not only did they have no advantage, moreover, they were at a great disadvantage. It could be said that the demon race had no way to suppress the human race now. Joining forces to fight against the human race, huh? The demon emperor thought of the alliance of various races and couldn't help but shake his head and sneer. The last battle when the true immortal broke out of the seal and broke the backbone of the alliance of various races. If it wasn't for the fact that the emperors of various races had attained the Tao and become immortals, perhaps some of the races in the alliance had already surrendered to the human race. It could be seen that the so-called alliance was no longer reliable. Unless the demon race had strength that was not much weaker than the human race, it would not be easy to rope in the various races. The demon emperor sighed. It seems that it's necessary to meet the bloodling Huang. At this moment, only the blood Eldar had the chance to join forces with the demon race to fight against the human race. After all, the human race was now powerful. Joining forces with too many ordinary races was not as reliable as joining forces with a few strong races. In the Qinyuan realm, during this period of time, Qin Shujian had been silently cultivating. If he had time, Xiao Chengfeng would come over, and the two sides could sit down and discuss the Tao. Compared to the past, after the other party awakened the innate wisdom of his previous life, his understanding had become more profound. After all, no matter what, immortal Lord Haotsong was a true immortal of the upper 3 levels, and his knowledge was not comparable to that of ordinary people. In the courtyard, not only were Qin Shujian and Xiao Chengfeng sitting there were also 3 additional people. One was the Godslayer, one was the sky-breaking halberd, the other was the stone spear. Similar to the Godslayer, the sky-breaking halberd also transformed into the appearance of a young man, and the stone spear transformed into an old man. Godslayer, I haven't seen you for 1,000,000 years, and you're still the same. TSK, TSK. The sky-breaking halberd shook its head and made a strange sound. On the other side, the Godslayer's face was as dark as ink. There was no other way. The sky-breaking halberd was already a 5 tribulation Zhu Bing, and he was only a 4 tribulation Zhu Bing. There was no way he could continue this topic. If it were in the past, the Godslayer would have fought with the other party. But now, he understood one thing. A wise man submits to circumstances. So the Godslayer decided to ignore the sky-breaking halberd's words. After 2 mocking laughs, the sky-breaking halberd also felt that it was meaningless, and then sighed. 1,000,000 years later, out of so many friends in the past, only you and me are left. It's good that we still exist. The stone spear smiled faintly, shook his head, and said, "There's no such thing as immortality in the world. Even if Zhu Bing doesn't have the shackles of lifespan, there will be a day when he'll be destroyed by the tribulation." He saw through these things very clearly. Hearing that, the sky-breaking halberd looked at the stone spear strangely and said, "Nameless, I remember that you're in existence even older than me. When I just became a 2 tribulation Zhu Bing, you were already a 3 tribulation Zhu Bing. Why are you still a 3 tribulation Zhu Bing until now?" To this, Nameless smiled faintly and didn't answer. Every existence had different pursuits. Just like the sky-breaking halberd, the other party had the ambition to break through the sky and reach the highest level. This kind of Zhu Bing. It was exactly the same as the character of immortal Haotsong in the past. On the contrary, the stone spear's pursuit was neither immortality nor invincibility. He only hoped to be a nameless spectator, to see the changes in the world and the vicissitudes of life. Probably from the moment my race perished, I changed my life's pursuit. Nameless thought of the dusty memory, and finally, a nostalgic smile appeared on his face. He didn't know when it started. The memories left by that race and the battle that perished could no longer arouse his anger. Because of the enemy race, they had also gradually disappeared in the long river of time. Subsequently, Nameless looked at the sky-breaking halberd and said with a faint smile, "I only hope to see more things." After saying that, he looked at Xiao Chengfeng, the former Xiao Chengfeng. Although he cared about the human race, he also had some thoughts that coincided with his own. The Nameless at that time. He also saw this point and realized that the other party was extraordinary, so he decided to follow the other party, because he could only see more things by following such a person who was destined to become a powerhouse. But now, Nameless found that Xiao Chengfeng had become a little different after awakening the innate wisdom of his previous life. There was less of the coincidence of the past. There was more of an obsession for the human race and a competitive spirit for cultivation. For such a change, Nameless didn't think it was good, but he didn't think it was bad either. He also knew the name of immortal Haozong. Your existence is older than the sky-breaking halberd? Godslayer heard this and looked at Nameless with a strange look in his eyes. If the sky-breaking halberd didn't mention it, he still didn't know about this, because in terms of seniority, the sky-breaking halberd was born millions of years earlier than Godslayer. Nameless in front of him. If it was older than the sky-breaking halberd, then it would be a long time ago. Subsequently, Godslayer asked again, "Which race are you from, Zhu Bing?" "My race was destroyed in ancient times. It's been too long, and I almost forgot its name." There's no need to mention it now. Nameless shook his head and didn't want to talk about this topic. Seeing this, Godslayer had to suppress the curiosity in his heart. The conversation between the three Zhu Bing. Qin Shujian also heard it. He looked at the stone spear with a hint of curiosity. Zhu Bing, which was older than the sky-breaking halberd and Godslayer, had been destroyed in ancient times. In this case, this Zhu Bing really had a long history. Although it had a long history, it didn't mean that it knew a lot of things. However, after living for so long, it definitely knew a lot of information. It was just that the other party was Xiao Chengfeng's Zhu Bing, so he couldn't ask too much. Immediately, Qin Shujian's gaze fell on the person in front of him and said, "Speaking of which, Bin Huang is a little curious. Brother Xiao is an expert from ancient times. Why did you only awaken your innate wisdom at this time? A person from millions of years ago. If he wanted to reincarnate, he should have succeeded long ago. Why did he wait until now to reincarnate as Xiao Chengfeng in front of him?" This matter. Qin Shujian was also very curious. Xiao Chengfeng replied, "You don't know, Emperor Qin. There are too many unknowns in reincarnation. I parasitized a wisp of spiritual deity in the river of time. As for when this wisp of spiritual deity will stop drifting and reincarnate, I am not sure. As for the innate wisdom, it was because I used up the rules of the human emperor." I would like to hear more. That was half of the rules of the ancient Emperor Xia. When Emperor Xia fell, he saw one of the many fragments of the future of the human race through the river of time. In the end, he cut off half of his own rules of the human emperor and left it to me. He was willing to fight to the death for the human race, so he didn't want to leave too many things behind. Half of the rules of the human emperor was left behind to resolve the disaster of the human race in the future. Xiao Chengfeng said slowly. He narrated some things. I killed my way into the demon abyss and fell. Only a wisp of spiritual deity remained in the human race. In the end, my spiritual deity carried half of the rules of the human emperor and was reincarnated in the Xiao family, becoming the legitimate son of the Xiao family. At that time, I didn't immediately awaken the innate wisdom of my previous life. Instead, I allowed the current me to have my own thoughts. The half of the rules of the human emperor was what I had promised Emperor Xia. If the reincarnated me was determined to use the rules of the human emperor to attain the Tao, then the human race would have one more human emperor. However, the existence of immortal Lord Haozong would also completely disappear. Similarly, if I gave up on using the rules of the human emperor to attain the Tao, then the innate wisdom of my previous life would find an opportunity to awaken. Because I always believed that there was no way to truly reach the peak of the human Tao. Only by opening up a path on my own can I truly reach the realm above the rules. Speaking of this, a confident smile appeared on Xiao Qingfeng's face. As a top expert of the heavenly court, his goal was already above the rules. Qin Shujian's expression froze. Above the rules. This was the second time he had heard this name from someone else since Godslayer. But the difference was, the God-slaying saber had a dubious attitude towards the rules. Although he had heard of the name above the rules, he had never understood it. Looking at Xiao Qingfeng again, he seemed to have a lot of understanding about above the rules. Brother Xiao, before you reincarnated, what realm did you reach? Qin Shujian asked the question in his heart. He knew that Xiao Qingfeng was a true immortal of the upper 3 tiers, but he was still not clear about which level he was at. Hearing this, Xiao Qingfeng smiled lightly and said, "Just a level 9 immortal." Brother Xiao is only one word. You used it well. Qin Shujian said faintly. Just a level 9 immortal. Only he dared to say that. The Emperor of Heaven was only a level 9 immortal. According to Godslayer, the strongest expert born in the world was only a level 9 immortal. Without a doubt, in Xiao Qingfeng's previous life, immortal Lord Haozong had truly reached the peak of the world. It was no wonder that he had the confidence to attain the realm above the rules. Someone who had reached such a level, taking another step forward. It was above the rules. Xiao Qingfeng shook his head. Does Emperor Qin think that a level 9 immortal is really strong? If it was really that strong, I would not have died in the demon abyss. To put it bluntly, a level 9 immortal will also grow old and die. In his opinion, a true supreme expert should not grow old, die, and be indestructible. Any existence that could grow old and die, they were not the true peak. The ancient Emperor of Heaven was very strong, but he still died. He himself had also reached the level 9 immortal realm, but he died in the demon abyss. Such strength. How could he be called the strongest? Qin Shujian heard this and understood, but he still shook his head in denial. At least in the current situation, a level 9 immortal is truly at the peak of the world. Emperor Qin is wrong. Brother Xiao, what do you mean? The strongest in the world is not as simple as a level 9 immortal. Xiao Qingfeng shook his head and said, in the deepest part of the Death Sea region, there is another existence above the half-step rules. In the heavenly abyss, there is also an existence above the half-step rules. Even in the demon abyss, there is also an existence above the half-step rules. My death in the demon abyss in the past had a lot to do with that ancient demon god above the half-step rules. Above the half-step rules? This news was completely out of Qin Shujian's expectations. Not to mention the demon abyss. He had long known that there were terrifying experts in the Death Sea region and the heavenly abyss, but he only thought that they were equivalent to the Emperor of Heaven, a level 9 immortal. He had never thought that they would have reached a realm above the half-step rules. Above the half-step rules? What kind of strength is that? Qin Shujian was asking himself, and also asking the other party. Xiao Qingfeng's eyes were a little heated, but then he restrained himself and said with a smile, those above the half-step rules are very strong. At least an ordinary level 9 immortal would find it difficult to contend against them. It was also after coming out of the Death Sea region that I realized that there is a realm above the level 9 immortal realm. As he finished speaking, Xiao Qingfeng sighed again. Unfortunately, it's too difficult to break through the level 9 immortal realm. The Emperor of Heaven had only taken half a step into the level 9 immortal realm and reached the realm above the half-step rules. Otherwise, the heavenly court would not have been defeated in the ancient demon abyss. But it's okay. It's good that I died in the demon abyss. At least after reincarnating and cultivating again, it proved that the path I took was useless. Now that I've taken a new path, there is hope to touch upon the level 9 immortal realm. As he finished speaking, Xiao Qingfeng showed a confident smile. Above the level 9 immortal realm. This was the realm that all level 9 immortals yearned to pursue. The Emperor of Heaven was like this. The Death Sea region, heavenly abyss, and the demon abyss were also like this. Therefore, before reincarnating, immortal Lord Haozong also pursued this. After awakening the innate wisdom of his previous life, Xiao Qingfeng also had a desire for this. After all, for any expert, After knowing the unknown path ahead, they would want to explore it. Even Qin Shujian. He also had such thoughts. However, the conversation with Xiao Chengfeng was much more complete and detailed than the conversation with the god-slaying saber. At least, he knew that the Emperor of Heaven was not an ordinary level 9 immortal realm, but a realm above the half-step rules. He also knew. It turned out that the two perilous places of the 4 major continents also had such experts. Even the Demon Abyss was the same. P.S. Support the original Chidian Chinese networks. I'm really decent. Chapter 665. In the Qinyuan realm, there were mountains and forests. Among the mountains, there was a courtyard. This was the Xiao Mansion. After Xiao Chengfeng gave up his identity as Marquis Baiyun, he moved into the Qinyuan realm, the original Xiao family. Some of the direct descendants also moved into the Qinyuan realm, leaving their own foundation and inheritance here. Because of this, the Xiao family was officially incorporated into the Qinyuan sacred ground and became a force in the sacred ground. Only Xiao Chengfeng. Nominally, he was not under the jurisdiction of the human emperor. He was quite detached. Regarding this point, Qin Shujian did not say anything. After all, if the other party was willing, his status was the same as his, the human emperor of the human clan. Sometimes, it was normal for them to give him some extra privileges. Inside the Xiao Mansion, Li Guang'an and the other 3 stood there respectfully. Xiao Chengfeng looked at the 4 of them and said indifferently, "The 4 of you have been with me for a long time. If I am not wrong, you should be cultivating the heaven and earth Tao-seeking scripture now." "Marquis, you have sharp eyes." Li Guang'an nodded in response. Although Xiao Chengfeng was no longer Marquis Baiyun, he still did not change his title. Xiao Chengfeng said, "The heaven and earth Tao-seeking scripture is indeed a powerful cultivation technique. It is suitable for all the physiques of the human clan." The fact that Emperor Qin was able to create this cultivation technique shows that he is worthy of the title of human emperor. As for the heaven and earth Tao-seeking scripture, he had also studied it seriously. Even with the vision of immortal Haozong in his previous life, he had to admit that this was a decent cultivation technique. One had to know. Decent was not necessarily a derogatory term. It was not easy to create a cultivation technique that was suitable for all the human clan. In the ancient times, there were also strong cultivators who created such a cultivation technique. But the environment at that time was different from the present. Millions of years had passed. The physique of the human clan had also changed slightly. Not everyone could cultivate the cultivation technique of the ancient times, because the requirements of the ancient cultivation technique were very high. The difference was, the requirements of the heaven and earth Tao-seeking scripture were relatively low. As long as there was enough energy, one could smoothly enter the cultivation realm. However, because the heaven and earth Tao-seeking scripture is too mediocre, even if you cultivate it to perfection, you may not be able to become a powerhouse of the same level. Therefore, I have another technique that I can teach you. This cultivation method is something I obtained by chance. Among all the cultivation methods I've seen, it's enough to rank in the top 10. Xiao Chengfeng finished speaking. His fingers suddenly pointed out, landing on the glabella of Li Guang'an and the other 3 with lightning speed. Very soon, an enormous amount of memories surged into his mind. Instantly, Li Guang'an and the other 3 felt a swelling pain between their eyebrows. It took them a while to recover. Zhou Tian technique of the 12 profound gates. Looking at the memories in their minds, the 4 of them had puzzled expressions on their faces. However, they still bowed and said, "Many thanks for the Marquis's teachings." Xiao Chengfeng said, "Back then, the one who cultivated the 12 mysterious gates, Zhou Tian technique, was a true immortal of the middle 3 heavens. Although he was only a level 6 heavens immortal, he fought and killed a level 7 heavens immortal from a small clan. Because of this, the heavenly court was furious. In the end, I had to personally take action to kill him. If you cultivate this technique, although you won't be the strongest among your peers, your potential will be much greater." Level 6 heavens immortal. Li Guang'an and the others looked at each other and felt their hearts beating violently. As the emperors of the 4 major continents became immortals, The realm of true immortals. It was no longer a secret. There were 9 levels of true immortals. Among them, level 9 heavens immortals were the most respected. The ancient emperors belonged to the upper 3 levels. To be able to cultivate to the middle 3 levels. That was also a top expert. Right now, the true immortals of the 4 major continents did not even have a single one of them in the middle 3 levels. They were all in the lower 3 levels. Immediately, they understood how important the 12 mysterious gates Zhou Tian technique was. Xiao Chengfeng said, "Cultivate well. It won't take too long for your original cultivation method to be converted to the 12 mysterious gates Zhou Tian technique. When it's completely converted, you can try to break through to the divinity realm. When you cultivate to the divinity realm, you'll be considered to have officially entered the sect." Divinity realm is considered to have entered the sect? Su Mingyang asked in disbelief. Although the divinity realm was no longer the top, it shouldn't be just the entry level. Xiao Chengfeng glanced at him and shook his head. True martial arts, spiritual martial arts, and divine martial arts are just the foundation in cultivation. Divinity realm is the entry level. Becoming a saint is the entry level. As for being a great being, it's just a small success. Speaking of which, the 7th level of the divinity realm was originally not called a great being. I don't know who changed it, but the name of the realm is just a name. It doesn't have much use. In my opinion, the divinity realm is just the entry level. Whether it's a small success or a small success, it's about the same. Only by breaking through the divinity realm and entering the true immortal realm can you be considered to have the capital to compete in the world. You still have a long way to go. Take your time. Hearing that, the others fell into silence. If their Marquis's words were to spread, it would be enough to make 99% of the cultivators in the 4 major continents feel so ashamed that they wanted to crawl into a hole in the ground. After all, there were only a few true immortals in the 4 major continents. Even the emperors of many races were only at the 10th level of the divinity realm. But now, from Xiao Qingfeng's mouth, the 10th level of the divinity realm, it was just that, barely higher than the entry level. As for the realm below the divinity realm, it was even more unsightly. Although they felt offended, the 4 of them were not discouraged. Instead, they became more spirited. With their Marquis's vision, he held the 12 profound gates Zhou Tian technique in such high regard. From this, it could be seen. This cultivation technique was indeed a supreme technique. After asking Li Guang'an and the others to leave, Xiao Hong quietly arrived. Marquis, you've already broken through to the divinity realm. Your foundation is set. It won't be easy to change it. Cultivating the Universe Tao-Seeking Sutra is a good choice. Xiao Chengfeng looked at Xiao Hong and said calmly, "Below the true immortal realm, you temper your body. The true immortal realm focuses more on the comprehension of the rules. After breaking through to the 3rd level of the divinity realm, I can take you on a trip to the long river of rules and find a suitable rule." Thank you, Marquis. Xiao Hong looked grateful. To be able to break through to the divinity realm, he was already satisfied. As for the true immortal realm, to be honest, Xiao Hong had never thought about it. A natural phenomenon. There were colorful rays of light shining. In a few months, there were cultivators at the peak of the god martial arts realm who broke through to the divinity realm. Strictly speaking, there were quite a number of god martial arts realm cultivators. In the past, the biggest reason why these god martial arts realm cultivators could not break through to the divinity realm was because of the shackles of the technique. But now, with the appearance of the Universe Tao-Seeking Sutra, the shackles of the technique had been solved. In addition, after Qin Shujian moved a few spirit veins over in the eastern continent, the spirit energy had greatly increased, and it became easier to break through to the divinity realm. Therefore, a few months passed. There were a few more names on the heaven list. However, the first on the heaven list was still Qin Shujian, and the second was Xiao Chengfeng. Their positions, they were basically unshakable. Several streaks of light shot into the sky, and then the lightning tribulation struck down. Half a day later, the lightning tribulation dissipated. A list rose. It directly suppressed all the streaks of light. At the bottom of the volcano, Qin Shujian reached out and put away several pills. With so many hallow pills, it should be enough for the time being. Looking at the more than 20 hallow pills on the heaven list, a faint smile appeared on his face. During this period of time, Qin Shujian was refining the hallow pills at the bottom of the volcano. Different from last time. This time, he did not ask Holy Fire to help, but completely relied on his own methods to successfully refine the hallow pills. To refine a pill of this level, the materials needed were not small at all. Fortunately, recently, a lot of regions have been born, and many heavenly materials and earthly treasures have been born along with the regions. Then, the elders guarding the various regions. These things were all sent to the sacred land, and finally fell into the hands of Qin Shujian. The reason why he wanted to refine the hallow pills. It was also because if he wanted to use the Godslayer with all his strength now, it would consume too much energy. Moreover, although the hallow pills were said to be 10th level pills, the effect it could have was not as strong as expected. According to Qin Shujian's estimation, it should be that his foundation was too strong, causing the medicinal effect of the hallow pills to be unable to be completely replenished. So, the medicinal effect of one hallow pill was enough to allow more than a dozen 7th level celestial beings to completely recover their true essence. But when it came to Qin Shujian, one hallow pill could only recover about half of the true essence. If it was normal times, it would be fine. When it was time for a life and death battle, there was not enough true essence. That would also take one's life. Because of this, Qin Shujian had been holed up here for the past few months to refine the hallow pills. Just as he was about to stop, he saw that there was still a set of materials left in the heaven list. Forget it, it's a waste to keep it. Might as well refine it all. Qin Shujian shook his head, waved his hand, and opened the lid of the furnace. The spiritual materials were placed inside, and then the lid was closed again. The magma was the earth core fire, using it to refine pills. It was the most suitable. Just as the pill was about to be refined, Qin Shujian suddenly felt a burst of palpitations, causing the hand seals that were originally forming to pause for a moment. Immediately after, boom! The furnace shook violently, and a powerful force erupted from it. Immediately, the magma fluctuated greatly. Then, fiery red raindrops splashed up, wanting to drown everything around. Qin Shujian did not do anything, only to see an invisible force spread out from his body, and then all the magma that was stirred up was suppressed. The sudden palpitations led to the failure of the pill refining this time. To this, Qin Shujian was not annoyed, and a smile appeared on his face. It's finally here. He looked at his attribute panel, and his life force had officially broken through the 2 trillion mark. With the growth of his life force, Guiyuan Ancestral Cannon had also officially shown signs that could be upgraded. P.S. Now it may be in the middle stage, or it may be in the late stage. I need to sort it out. Give me 12,000 today. Chapter 666. Without any hesitation, upgrade. 2 trillion life sources were emptied, leaving less than 1 million life sources. Immediately after, the Guiyuan Ancestral Cannon was upgraded from the 7th level of the Divine Chapter to the 8th level. A powerful aura rose. The heaven list immediately flew out and forcibly suppressed this power within a certain range. In the sea of consciousness, Godslayer thought to himself, sure enough. Then, he sighed with emotion. The reincarnation of an existence above the precepts is really extraordinary. He made another breakthrough so quickly. Now his strength should be comparable to a true immortal's. If I remember correctly, even if he makes another breakthrough now, he's only at the 8th level of the celestial being, right? Godslayer exclaimed in his heart again. 8th level of the celestial being. Only at the 8th level of the celestial being, he had the strength comparable to a true immortal. In the ancient era, celestial beings slaying immortals. Only those who had reached the limit of the celestial being were qualified to slay immortals. Like Qin Shujian, it was impossible for a mere 8th level of the celestial being to be comparable to a true immortal. Just as Godslayer was sighing with emotion, Qin Shujian had completed the breakthrough. 88,000 acupoints opened. I'm very close to the number of 129,600. He took a deep breath. As more and more acupoints were opened, Qin Shujian felt that his body was undergoing a terrifying transformation, although he did not fully exert his current strength. But he also knew he must have reached an extremely powerful level. After the breakthrough, the first thing Qin Shujian did was to take out the heaven list and look at the changes in his body. Name: Qin Shujian, race, human, age, 33, realm, 8th level of the celestial being, combat power, 200,000, talent evaluation, excellent breakthrough. He was at the 7th level of the celestial being, with a combat power of 120,000. This breakthrough, he broke through from the 7th level of the celestial being to the 8th level of the celestial being. His combat power soared by 80,000, officially reaching 200,000. 200,000 combat power. Now, even if I don't use Zhu Bing, I shouldn't be weaker than a true immortal like the Demon Emperor. Qin Shujian smiled faintly. What he loved the most was the feeling of using his life force to improve himself, because every time he leveled up, it was a great breakthrough in one's strength. According to Godslayer, with 150,000 combat power, he would stand a chance against a true immortal. Now that his combat power had reached 200,000, fighting against a true immortal would not be a problem. He withdrew his attention from the heaven leaderboard. Qin Shujian got up and threw the furnace placed in the magma into the heaven list. Then, he threw the heaven list into his sea of consciousness to accompany the Godslayer. It was supposed to be boiling lava. At this moment, they had all cooled down. The aura of Qin Shujian's breakthrough earlier had already suppressed all the hot magma. Regarding this, he didn't care too much about it. He got up and left the bottom of the volcano. Then, he turned around and returned to the Qianyuan realm. He had just returned. Xiao Chengfeng came to visit. Looking at Qin Shujian in front of him, he had a strange look on his face. Qin Emperor seems to have become a little different. My cultivation has improved a little, Qin Shujian said with a faint smile. Hearing this, Xiao Chengfeng smiled faintly, shook his head and said, looking at you, it's not as simple as just improving a little. You are the strongest cultivator I have ever seen among all the diviners. I have also never seen someone who could walk all 4 precepts at the same time as a diviner. Moreover, you can even walk all the way to the limit of a diviner in a few precepts. With your current state, if you want to become a true immortal, it would be a piece of cake. But you haven't broken through yet. Are you planning to build a supreme foundation? Xiao Chengfeng was a mortal Haotsong in his previous life, a level 9 immortal elite. With his experience, he could naturally see the clues on Qin Shujian, although those 4 precepts were hidden. But Xiao Chengfeng could still sense the aura of those precepts from him. In his opinion, Qin Shujian hadn't become a true immortal yet, but he already had the strength to kill a true immortal. If he really succeeded in becoming a true immortal, his strength would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. When that time comes, even Emperor Zhao, who had received the legacy of the heavenly court, wouldn't be a match for this Qin Emperor. But even so, this Qin Emperor was still suppressing his realm and not breaking through. Regarding this, Xiao Chengfeng couldn't help but have some guesses. Brother Xiao, I'm afraid there is some misunderstanding. Qin Shujian had a helpless expression. He also wanted to become a true immortal. But the problem was, except for the precepts of strength, the other 3 precepts weren't comprehended by himself. Moreover, now that he was walking all 4 precepts at the same time, it wasn't an easy thing to take that step in one of the precepts. Who didn't want to become a true immortal? Qin Shujian also wanted to become a true immortal, but the fastest way now was to rely on the source of life to improve his realm step by step, and then walk step by step to the true immortal realm. Xiao Chengfeng said, Why do you have to hide it, Qin Emperor? I thought I was the only one who was preparing for the precepts, but I didn't expect Qin Emperor to also build a supreme foundation in the celestial realm. You and I are both preparing for the precepts in the future, so we can be considered as friends. At this moment, Xiao Chengfeng looked at Qin Shujian with a completely different gaze. In his eyes, not everyone was qualified to be his fellow Taoist. Even in the ancient times, the only one who could be considered as worthy by immortal Haotsong was the Emperor of Heaven of the Heavenly Court. Apart from that, although the ancient emperors were strong, they weren't worthy of his attention. At this moment, Xiao Changfeng was the same. In his original opinion, in the human race, Emperor Zhao could be considered as half a person who was worthy of his attention. As for Qin Shujian, although he was strong, he could only be considered half a person. But now, Xiao Changfeng didn't think so anymore. Seeing that he misunderstood, Qin Shujian didn't want to explain too much. Let it be a misunderstanding. So, he just gave him a helpless smile. However, in Xiao Qingfeng's opinion, Qin Shujian's smile was the same as admitting it. Bin Huang has other things to take care of, so I won't chat with Brother Xiao. Go ahead, Qin Emperor. I'll come and discuss with you later. Xiao Changfeng was in a good mood. After laughing, he turned and left. Seeing his back as he left, Qin Shujian shook his head. Then, he sent a message to a few elders of the sacred grounds and went to Qinyuan Palace for a meeting. Inside Qinyuan Palace, a few elders of the sacred grounds were already waiting there. When they saw Qin Shujian, they all stood up and saluted. Qin Emperor, sit down. Qin Shujian sat down on the main seat and said lightly, because in these few months, a few heavenly beings were born in the cultivation world. Thus, he sent these devas to the various manors to oversee them, and then brought back the elders of the Holy Lands. After all, the Qinyuan sacred ground was so big, it wouldn't be appropriate if there wasn't a single heavenly being. Thank you, Qin Emperor. After Qin Yuanbai sat down, he immediately cupped his hands and asked, is there anything important that you want to announce? The others looked at him. Now, they were all gathered on Qin Shujian. Since the establishment of the Qinyuan sacred ground, there hadn't been many meetings held. Every time there was a meeting, there was something important to announce. In less than 100 years, the great tribulation of the demonic abyss will come. Heaven and earth have sensed the tribulation, and the general trend is born. There are many clans in the 4 continents. If they want to compete for the general trend of heaven and earth, it will inevitably lead to fighting and killing. But now that the emperors have become immortals, once the war starts, it will inevitably lead to the intervention of true immortals. Qin Shujian glanced at everyone and slowly spat out the words from his mouth. When true immortals are angry, millions of corpses will fall. In order to deal with the great tribulation of the demonic abyss, the 4 continents shouldn't lose too many experts. However, the general trend of heaven and earth has to be fought for. So Bin Huang wants to open up the 10,000 tribes battlefield. 10,000 tribes battlefield? Everyone's expression froze for a moment. Then, their expressions became extremely solemn. No one had heard of the 10,000 tribes battlefield. But just from these 4 words, they felt a terrifying murderous aura. It could be predicted. The 10,000 tribes battlefield would definitely be stained with countless bloody killings. Fang Xinglan asked in a deep voice, may I ask, Qin Emperor, what is the 10,000 tribes battlefield? You will naturally know about the 10,000 tribes battlefield later. Now, what Bin Huang wants you to do is to send a message to the clans in the 4 continents as the human race. At this point, Qin Shujian paused for a moment, and then continued, Bin Huang wants to invite the emperors of the various clans to the human territory to discuss the matter of the 10,000 tribes battlefield together. After saying that, everyone's expression changed. Inviting the emperors of the various clans to the human territory for a discussion was not a small matter. Yin Banqing's expression was extremely solemn. The various clans are not on good terms with the human race. If they are allowed to enter the human territory, and if someone has evil intentions, the human race will definitely suffer heavy casualties. Just like what Qin Shujian said, when a true immortal was angry, millions of corpses would fall. It would be fine if they intercepted the true immortal outside the human territory, but if they attacked within the human territory, the consequences would be too great. Qin Shujian said calmly, Elder Yin's concern is unnecessary. The various clans will not attack at this time, and they do not have the guts to do so. When the time comes, Bin Huang will lift the East City and accept the emperors of the various clans. Hearing that, the others no longer had any objections. The East City would be lifted. It would definitely cause problems with the formations in the human territory. However, one had to know that Qin Emperor was the #1 formation Dao expert in the human race. There was no reason for him not to know about this. But even so, Qin Shujian still did so. That could only mean that the other party had his reasons. Inside the Qinyuan sacred ground, Qin Emperor was the real decision-maker. No matter how many suggestions the other elders made, he had the right to veto them. Is this the Western continent? It's really very different from the Eastern continent. Walking on the vast land of the Western continent, Zhang Ergu looked left and right, his eyes full of curiosity. Ever since the passage to the Eastern continent was opened, he had only experienced the first battle of the human race. Besides that, he had not left the Eastern continent since. Although the 4 continents belonged to the same world, in fact, the landscape and environment were very different. The most obvious point was, the weather in the Western continent was relatively dry, and the land was dark yellow. There was always a faint trace of heat in the air. However, this kind of heat was not very obvious. It did not affect cultivators in the God martial arts realm, and even cultivators in the true martial arts realm would not feel much. While talking, Zhang Ergu turned his head to look at the Qinkuan Bao on his shoulder and asked, "Has Elder Qin been to the Western continent?" "No," the Qinkuan Bao replied in a dull voice. He found, since Qin Shujian had the Godslayer, he did not pay much attention to him. If love would disappear, that was probably it. A 5-seal Taoist artifact had fallen into such a situation. The Qinkuan Bao was also confused, not knowing why it had become like this. Alas, I should have been the divine weapon in the hands of the human emperor. Thinking of Qin Shujian and looking at Zhang Ergu beside him, the Qinkuan Bao was full of disdain. There was no comparison. There was really no harm. Compared to Qin Shujian, Zhang Ergu was really too bad. No, it should be said that the two were not comparable at all. It was just that on this trip to the Western continent, the Qin Emperor was worried about Buttface, so he asked him to accompany him in person to deal with some dangers. The most important thing was, if he really encountered an unpredictable danger, he would be able to go back and report it at the first moment. He could hear the displeasure in the Qinkuan Bao's words. Zhang Ergu said with a smile, "Speaking of me, the Qin Emperor has Zhu Bing now, so he doesn't need ordinary Taoist artifacts anymore. Elder Qin, why don't you follow me? When my brother Buttface becomes a celestial being and a genuine immortal, then you'll have a lot of face by my side." "You? A genuine immortal?" The Qinkuan Bao seemed to have heard something ridiculous. It was good enough that Zhang Ergu could break through to the celestial being realm. How could it be so easy to break through to the genuine immortal realm? Even the Qin Emperor. He was not a genuine immortal yet. You don't believe me? I feel that I'm quite talented. How many of us in the Yuan sect can break through to the divine martial realm before me? Zhang Ergu smiled confidently. There were many disciples in the Yuan sect, but from the beginning to now, there were definitely no more than 10 who could break through to the divine martial arts realm. He could break through now. It was enough to show that he was very talented. For this, the Qinkuan Bao was too lazy to say anything. "Elder Qin, what do you think is the difference between the Demon Clan in the Western Prefecture and the Demon Clan in the Eastern Prefecture? The last battle was too chaotic, so I didn't have time to take a closer look. I heard that the Demon Clan in the Western Prefecture was injured by the Zhao Emperor a few times. They don't seem to be very strong." Sigh. It seems that the Demon Clan is quite far away. I've been walking for more than half a month, but I still haven't seen their shadow. In the Western Prefecture, Zhang Ergu chatted with the Qinkuan Bao intermittently. This chatter. Most of the time, Zhang Ergu was the one talking, and the Godslayer would reply occasionally. The current him, he still couldn't get over the fact that he was no longer the Dao artifact that Qin Shujian valued the most. Rumble. The mountain shook. Rocks rolled down, causing the ground below to shake violently. A demon beast? Or a demon clan? Zhang Ergu was shocked as he watched the mountain in front of him suddenly move. Then, it stood up and turned into a huge demon beast that was hundreds of feet tall. The demon beast emitted a very strong aura. Even though he had broken through to the God martial arts realm, he still felt a chill in front of this aura. The peak of the god martial arts realm. No, not just the peak of the god martial arts realm, but a celestial being realm expert. A human? The demon beast that was hundreds of feet tall looked at Zhang Ergu with a terrifying cold light in its eyes. Its bloody mouth opened, revealing sharp teeth that made one's heart tremble. Well, the strength of the god martial arts realm is a bit weak, but its chi and blood are vigorous. It's good to use it to fill my stomach. I didn't expect to have such food delivered to my door when I just woke up. While speaking, the demon beast had already reached out a big hand to grab Zhang Ergu. It was a simple grab, as if the surrounding space was 10 miles. Without thinking, Zhang Ergu took out the cloud-piercing arrow from his storage ring. Then, he knocked an arrow and shot out what he thought was the best arrow he had ever shot since he broke through. Boom! The combination of 2 Dao artifacts was comparable to a 6-seal Dao artifact. The cloud-piercing arrow pierced through the void and exploded with a terrifying power. It directly shot through the sealed space and then heavily bombarded the demon beast's palm. The huge and thick palm. In front of the cloud-piercing arrow, it didn't stop it at all. The long arrow sank into the demon beast's flesh and blood exploded. The demon beast let out a painful scream and finally had to retract its palm midway. The next moment, the cloud-piercing arrow had already been retracted. The demon beast looked at the great fury on its right hand, and its face was extremely angry. Its eyes gradually turned scarlet. Human, you're courting death. At this moment, Chaitai was completely sober now, and he was completely furious. As a diviner, he was injured by a god martial arts realm cultivator. If this news spread, he would lose face. More importantly, he saw the longbow and arrow in the hands of the human in front of him. It could let a god martial arts realm cultivator injure him with one blow. Such a divine weapon. How could it be ordinary? Wait. Seeing the demon beast angry, Zhang Ergu's expression changed slightly. With his current strength, using the Chinkuan Bao with all his strength consumed a lot of energy. Judging from the rough skin and thick flesh of the demon beast in front of him, even if he shot a few more arrows, he might not be able to kill the other party. And if he was hit by the other party's attack, he would probably die on the spot. As for escaping, Zhang Ergu never thought about it. What ability did a god martial arts realm cultivator have to escape in front of a diviner? If it was a late-stage god martial arts realm cultivator, it would be fine. He had just broken through to the god martial arts realm. The difference was too big. Facing Zhang Ergu's words, Chaitai didn't have the slightest intention of stopping. As the big hand pressed down, a powerful airwave spread out in all directions. If you have anything to say it when you are in my stomach. I am from the Qinyuan sacred ground. I came to the Western Prefecture on the orders of the Qin Emperor. If you attack me, the Qin Emperor will never let you and the forces behind you go. Zhang Ergu shouted sternly. Suddenly, Chaitai stopped what he was doing. The Qin Emperor of the human clan. Thinking of the existence who had seriously injured the Star Clan Emperor with one strike, his heart trembled slightly. You are the Qin Emperors? However, Chaitai didn't completely believe him. Instead, he asked suspiciously, do you have any evidence? Humph. If you are not the Qin Emperor's confidant, how could you have such a divine weapon? If you don't believe me, you can do it. But don't blame me for not warning you in advance. Zhang Ergu finished speaking. Then he sneered. Don't think that you can kill me here without anyone knowing. The Qin Emperor's means are not something you can guess. If you dare to attack, the Qin Emperor will definitely avenge me. Even if you are from the demon clan, the Qin Emperor will not forgive you easily if you dare to kill me. Zhang Ergu's confident look. That made Chaitai hesitate. He was a little unsure whether the other party was telling the truth or not. After all, if he killed an ordinary human, it would be fine. Anyway, killings could be seen everywhere in the 4 continents, and no one would say anything. But if he killed a human with a background, then it would be a little troublesome, because the current human clan was not the same as when they had just left the East continent. They had the Zhao Emperor and the Qin Emperor. The human clan had now become the top force in the 4 continents. Even the top clans, such as the Blood Eldar of the Demon Clan, were not willing to have a head-on conflict with the Human Clan. Not to mention that the one behind Chaitai was not from the Demon Clan. Even if he was from the Demon Clan, he would not provoke the Qin Emperor for him. Therefore, Chaitai fell into hesitation. To eat or not to eat, that was the problem. After a long time, he decided to give up the risky decision. Eating a human in the god martial arts realm was just to satisfy his appetite. It would not bring him any substantial benefits. As for what really attracted Chaitai, it was just the bow in Zhang Ergu's hand. But if this was truly a magic weapon bestowed by the Qin Emperor, then taking the bow and arrows would be no different from committing suicide. Therefore, Chaitai did not want to covet the bow of the universe and the piercing cloud arrows. He looked at Zhang Ergu in front of him. He showed a smile that he thought was harmonious. It turns out that you are from the Qin Emperor. Then I misunderstood. Goodbye. After that, Chaitai turned around and went into the ground. Almost in a breath or two, the 1,000-foot-tall body had completely disappeared. Only a deep hole that had not healed was left on the ground, indicating what had just happened. After Chaitai had completely left, Zhang Ergu relaxed his tense body, then wiped the invisible sweat on his forehead. You scared me to death. He was just a practitioner in the god martial arts realm. Even with the bow of the universe, it was impossible for him to fight against a celestial being who was one big realm higher. If Chaitai did not care about the title of the Qin Emperor and was determined to attack him, Zhang Ergu felt that he was probably going to kneel down. Elder Qian, if he really attacked me, do you have the confidence to fight back? I will go back and inform the Qin Emperor as soon as possible, and then ask someone to collect your body, the bow of the universe said faintly. Hearing that, Zhang Ergu's face suddenly darkened. Since entering the Western Prefecture, he had met a lot of foreign experts, but most of them were in the god martial arts realm. If he could beat them, he never said anything and just attacked directly. If he could not beat them, then he would tell them where he came from. For the first time, Zhang Ergu found that the title of the Qin Emperor was very useful in the Western Prefecture, as long as he said that he was a trusted follower of the Qin Emperor. No matter if it was a god martial arts realm expert or a celestial being, they would all turn around and leave without saying anything. In this situation, it also made him feel quite emotional. When can I have such a reputation that I can scare off all the practitioners with just a name? Let's find a place to rest tonight. Everything is in my dream. Elder Qian, I find that you are getting worse and worse at chatting. It's your condition that is getting worse. The bow of the universe replied mercilessly. It took Zhang Ergu more than a month to travel from the human territory to the demon clan's territory. After he stepped into the demon clan's territory, he said loudly, I am the messenger of the Qinyuan sacred ground of the human clan. I am here to see the demon king on the orders of the Qin Emperor. Please pass on the message. His voice condensed all his vital essence and directly covered thousands of miles of land. Suddenly, more than a dozen tyrannical auras erupted. Then, some experts flew over and surrounded Zhang Ergu. The messenger of the human clan's Qinyuan sacred ground? The Qin Emperor? Those experts of the demon clan looked at Zhang Ergu in front of them, their eyes full of suspicion. However, they did not attack immediately. Things were different now. If a human dared to step into the demon clan's territory without permission in the past, they would have been swallowed alive. On the other side, Zhang Ergu, who was suddenly surrounded by more than a dozen celestial beings, was also under great pressure. Those dozens of pairs of eyes fell on him. They were like mountains. However, thinking of his identity, Zhang Ergu forced himself to calm down. Looking at the many experts of the demon clan, he shouted in a deep voice, I am the messenger of the Qin Emperor. I want to see the Demon King. Please lead the way. You say that you are the messenger of the Qin Emperor. Do you have any proof? A celestial being of the demon clan asked. As soon as he finished speaking, another celestial being of the demon clan sneered and said, How can a mere Shunwu be worthy of being the messenger of the Qin Emperor? In my opinion, he is just a fake. I don't know why he wants to see the Demon King. It's better to just swallow him and avoid trouble. Hearing this, The other celestial beings of the demon clan did not speak. They wanted to see, how would Zhang Erge react? The title of the Qin Emperor of the human clan was naturally enough. However, as the messenger of the Qin Emperor, even if he was weak, he should at least be a mighty figure above the 7th level of the celestial being. Even if there were no mighty figures of the human clan, there should be a celestial being practitioner, not a mere god martial arts realm practitioner like this. And the other party seemed to have just entered the god martial arts realm. Such strength was indeed not worthy of the identity of the messenger of the Qin Emperor. However, a god martial arts realm practitioner, if he did not have the confidence, would not dare to come to the territory of the demon clan and openly ask to see the demon king. For a moment, these celestial beings of the demon clan were also a little uncertain, so they might as well test this person to see if there was any problem. Zhang Ergu sneered and said, "You can swallow me, but I'm afraid that after you swallow me, you can't bear the consequences. I came to the demon clan under the order of the Qin Emperor. You can stop me. I'm afraid that you can't bear the consequences." He could see it. These celestial beings of the demon clan were also very afraid of the Qin Emperor. There was fear. That proved that they did not dare to attack him. In this way, Zhang Ergu was more confident. Seeing this, the celestial beings of the demon clan looked at each other and saw the surprise in each other's eyes. Zhang Ergu was so confident that they could not tell whether it was true or not. Immediately afterward, the celestial being of the demon clan who spoke first said, "I wonder if you have any proof on you? This is the token of the Qianyuan sacred ground." Zhang Ergu casually threw a token over. The celestial being reached out and took it, and then his gaze fell on it. There were two sides to the token. On one side were the words Qianyuan, and on the other side were mountains, rivers, and plants. When he saw the words Qianyuan, the celestial being of the demon clan suddenly felt a vast aura from it, which made his heart tremble. He had never seen the real token of the Qianyuan sacred ground. However, he knew that the person who could leave such a mark on the token must be a supreme master. It could be said that, the moment he saw the token, the celestial being of the demon clan no longer had any doubts. Suddenly, he handed the token back. Although his attitude was still cold, he did not stop him again. "Since you are the messenger of the Qin Emperor, wait here for a while. We need to send a message to the Demon King. You can only enter the secret realm with the Demon King's permission." He had a cold attitude towards this demon clan member. Zhang Erge did not care at all. The relationship between the human clan and the demon clan could be described as like fire and water. His attitude was cold. This was normal. If a demon clan member was very friendly to him, Zhang Ergu would suspect that the other party had some ulterior motives. "Hurry up, I'm pressed for time. After going to the demon clan, I still have to go to the next one." He put the token back in his pocket, glanced at the celestial being, and said lightly. Seeing this, the other celestial beings of the demon clan did not argue with him. The arrival of the Qin Emperor's messenger was not a trivial matter. Moreover, he had to meet the Demon King, and he had to report it to the Demon King first. Not long after the message was sent out, the message was sent back again. The celestial being of the demon clan said, "Come with me." He entered the secret realm of the demon clan. Suddenly, an extremely rich spiritual qi rushed toward him like a wave. At that moment, Zhang Ergu felt that all the pores on his body were opened, and then they were filled with a large amount of spiritual qi. Hiss, what a strong spiritual qi. He was taken aback. All the time, Zhang Ergu thought that the spiritual qi in the Qian Yuan realm was the richest. But now that he entered the secret realm of the demon clan, he found that the spiritual qi in the secret realm was several times richer than in the Qian Yuan realm. Immediately, he was relieved. No wonder there are so many experts of the demon clan. In such an environment of spiritual qi, it is much easier to cultivate some top experts than in the outside world. Zhang Ergu shook his head secretly. He had a hunch that if he could cultivate here for a few years, he might have a chance to break through to the celestial being realm, because the spiritual qi here was too rich. If 1 day of cultivation in the Qian Yuan realm was equivalent to 10 days of cultivation in the outside world, then 1 day of cultivation here It was equivalent to 1 month of cultivation in the outside world. Such a strong spiritual chi. It could directly get rid of the shackles of aptitude and make any cultivator's realm advance by leaps and bounds. However, although Zhang Ergu was shocked, he still remained calm on the surface. The demon clan celestial being who led him in was also secretly observing his expression. At this moment, he saw his calm face. In his heart, he also believed a little. Soon after, he felt relieved. Indeed, if he was really the envoy of Emperor Qin, it was impossible that he had not seen such a scene. Soon, the two came in front of a hall. Zhu Bing's heavenly demon temple of the demon clan. Seeing the hall in front of him, Zhang Ergu was shocked again. This was the top treasure of the demon clan. Just standing in front of the hall, he felt like he was being suppressed. As for the cosmos bow on his back, it was silent at this time. In front of Zhu Bing, how could he talk with a Tao artifact? Resisting the pressure in his heart, Zhang Ergu followed the celestial being and entered the heavenly demon temple. Walking into the main hall, he saw a white jade staircase coming into view, and at the end of the white jade staircase was a throne. On the throne, a person was sitting on it. Just by simply sitting there, an aura that could suppress the heavens and the earth could be faintly felt. Zhang Ergu just glanced at it and felt an endless pressure surging over, so he had to look away. He cupped his hands and said, "The envoy of the Qinyuan sacred ground of the human clan greets the demon emperor." His voice sounded in the main hall, but there was no response. The voice was transmitted. It was more like it was being devoured by something. 1 breath, 2 breaths, a full 5 breaths passed. The demon emperor slowly said, "The demon clan has never had any friendship with the human clan. Emperor Qin asked you to come to the demon clan to meet Ben Huang. What is the matter? Under the orders of Emperor Qin, I am here to invite you to the eastern city of the human clan's territory in 3 months to participate in the meeting of the 10,000 clans to discuss the opening of the 10,000 clans battlefield." The meeting of the 10,000 clans, the 10,000 clans battlefield? The demon emperor's eyes changed slightly. Suddenly, Zhang Ergu found that the pressure on his body had increased. Even the bones all over his body were faintly crackling at this moment, as if they would break at any time. Against this pressure, he said in a deep voice, "I am just a messenger." The demon emperor can go to the human clan's territory to participate in the meeting of the 10,000 clans. After speaking, the demon emperor also looked away. The pressure on his body was relieved. Zhang Ergu continued, "I have to go to other clans to pass the message, so I will take my leave first. I hope the demon emperor can come on time." After speaking, he cupped his hands. Immediately, the demon emperor simply waved his hand. Zhang Ergu felt the world spin. When he came back to his senses, he had already appeared outside the demon clan's territory. The means of a perfected immortal. Zhang Ergu took a deep breath and was shocked by this. One had to know. The demon clan's secret realm was at least hundreds of thousands of miles away from the demon clan's territory. With just a wave of his hand, he was swept hundreds of thousands of miles away. This kind of strength. If the demon emperor attacked him, Zhang Ergu felt that he could turn him into ashes with just a flick of his finger. Until now, only then did the cosmos bow dare to speak. He sighed and said, "So powerful. This is a perfected immortal realm expert. In front of him, I feel as vast and profound as the world." In front of the demon emperor, he didn't dare to move. "Old Xian, you're unreliable." Zhang Ergu was filled with disdain. "It's not that I'm unreliable. It's that your strength isn't enough. If you had the strength of the Qin emperor, even if he was a perfected immortal, I would still shoot him to death." "Heh, if I had the strength of the Qin emperor, who would need you?" With one sentence, the cosmos Bao felt as if his heart had been pierced. He retorted. Zhang Ergu felt that he was in a good mood. He threw the matter of the demon emperor to the back of his mind and immediately rushed to the next clan. In the heavenly demon temple, the demon emperor's expression had become solemn. The meeting of the 10,000 clans. The battlefield of the 10,000 clans. What is the human clan's purpose? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.